Não trabalha aí, Tirena.
YouTube?
Está a bombar!
Está no YouTube?
Tá, peraí.
Vão ver a mim próprio. Como é que se chama o coisa?
Agora não tem nada. Já vais ver. Peraí que eu tenho
Mas
que
ainda está a
atualizar.
ver?
Não, porque imagina, em vez de ser um link, porque se a net for abaixo, recomeça com um novo link, ou seja, eu não vou estar sempre a cada vez para baixo dar um link novo. Vou meter aqui no site da PT, estás a ver? E meto aqui embedded. O pessoal abre no YouTube. Ou pode ver aqui se quiser, mas não tem
Mas
muito
sabes
jeito.
quantas pessoas tinham?
Hã?
Quantas pessoas estavam a ver, sabes disso?
Eu não dava a funcionar, é que eu estava todo fodido. Sim. O que é que eu queria daqui? É isto, sei. Thumbnail já está. Disse. Não.
Queres uma então?
Não.
O que é preço?
Allow embedding. Save. Copy code. Edit. Source.
Pessoal, você tem que confiar em mim, pessoal.
A que horas é? A que horas é que começava?
45 minutos, acho eu.
Falta pouco. Não queres tirar no coffee break? Se calhar é melhor.
Não tivemos aqui sentados.
Não, mas aqui lá em cima, no coffee break.
Ou seja, vamos puxar para baixo.
Tens direitos.
Já está online o streaming. Acho que se a net não foi abaixo, podes.
Estamos live, Pedro?
Está bem lenta a net, bro.
Posso tirar a minha pizza para a câmera, não?
Não há nenhum jogo, não é?
Não, mano, acabou o futebol, mano.
E...
Mano, eu estava, era tipo sem rede, é por isso que não dava a dar para fazer pizza.
Queres um hotspot?
É no estúdio que eles usam.
faz tudo isto.
É claramente que é muito melhor que o outro, não?
Hã?
É muito melhor que o outro.
É o mesmo?
Do que a gente utilizava também. Aí não dava.
Daquele não, mas aqui está lá fixe. Está a net está um bocado lento. Quer dizer, demora bem tempo ainda, mas está a andar agora. Mas posso fazer...
Mas está a dar, olha aí.
Agora está a andar fixe.
Mas a tua mão não apareceu.
Não, aquilo era no YouTube. Isto é... Aí aparece
Mas tu vais
assim, a
apresentar
sério.
já?
Aí, mano, dá para meter... Dá para meter a mostrar só isto nesta página, sem fazer full screen. Não, tem que ser assim.
Carga. Mete Presenters View. Eu já não lembro como é que eu fiz. Não.
Assim.
Mas eu na apresentação.
Assim está bom, É isto mesmo.
Era o que eu estava a dizer, eu fazia.
Ok,
eu fazia
tá bom
era
assim.
assim que eu fazia quando estava a apresentar as cenas da Rita.
Aparece assim. Depois quando ele estiver a falar, faz tipo assim, mete a câmera, sei lá. Assim?
Não, mete aqui em baixo.
Sim, tipo assim.
Mais pequenino, mais pequenino.
Assim.
Se calhar um bocadinho mais pequenino.
Ainda mais, depois não se vê.
Você que é de IT, você pode depois tirar minha dúvida que eu tenho ali no WhatsApp para mim, por favor?
Pode ser. Se pagar 5 euros,
Só se você responder, eu pago.
está bem. Ok, está on. O pai está on. Ana.
Tá no grupo, tá no informal.
Bonita para cá.
Obrigado. Mostrou? Eu que mandei fazer.
Grifo.
O outro falou jive.
A Renata. Tiro também.
Vai responder a pergunta do...
Malta já é streaming.
Não, só tu. Nós todos vestidos, tu nu. Só eu não. Se ficar nu, eu fico. Quando eu ficar nu, já vai estar só a gente nu. Tens que ver um montão de tralhas novos.
Ô João Afonso, vem aqui, vai lá ver qual é a foto, rápido. Rápido. Teu pai vai sumir agora. O pai tá on. Oh, mas tá aí, mano, mas vai ter isso. Olha lá no WhatsApp, manda lá no WhatsApp.
Já onde essa bandeira do Minho?
Olha, ó Filipe, Filipe, o homem que vira. Ai, caramba. Estes baralhados. Ah, estava lá em cima de mim.
A foto é porque ela vai ser mais vai ser aqui a foto, não apetece mais por esta.
Ai, Vitória.
Não dá mais.
Como é que tu fala? GIF ou GIF?
Para ti os M's também são tipo. Está lá o senhor e eu não sei mexer naquilo, mas eu vou lá.
É o seu Manuel. É o seu Manuel.
Filipe, o homem que vira. É o Filipe, o homem que vira.
Ah!
Filipe, o homem que vira. É o Filipe.
Ô, Sara,
É o Filipe.
tá comendo o quê, Sara? Tá comendo o quê?
Olha uma coisa, eu quero uma t-shirt roda dessa. Para mim não.
Quê? Eu estudei outra coisa.
Bom dia, Portugal!
Cheguei bué agora.
Olha, eu quero uma t-shirt.
Organize ourselves for the meeting. Come on.
Olha, vamos lá para trás.
Ali. Vai pra ficar assim?
Daqui para ali.
Não. Tem que ir embora.
Eu quero a bandeira.
Não precisa me mandar embora. Tô indo embora, tá bem?
Não, não
Eu
dá.
estava resolvendo.
São barcos, isso é um seguimento, vamos dar em volta.
Vamos fazer um grande coração.
Erro. Isso é muito grave.
Primeira vez. Não sei se eu acabei de comer agora. Mas eu ainda ontem tenho que comer a Está condenado. Agora está condenado.
Fala assim, ó, você tem a bandeira, fica aqui, ó. Ah, vocês vão abrir a bandeira ali também.
Ô, Chiquichoca, vai ter uma coisa nas calças.
Eu não tenho. É assim que trata um brasileiro nesse país. Eu não tenho calça, eu não tenho sapato. A minha é uma camisa desse tamanho.
Olha, se tu fores ali para a porta da pousada e metes a mão de fora, vais pagar este tipo de todo.
Oh, vamos ajeitar rapidão aqui, ó. Quem tá com as bandeiras, tipo, tem só ocupar o espaço que não tá, tipo, em branco das cadeiras, mas vocês três, Castelo Branco, podem mais pro meio. Tipo, vocês aí, com a bandeira que vão acabar tampando as vezes, ou às vezes tem que ser, tipo... Dá pra ficar aqui, ó.
Tu és o nosso animal de estimação.
Olha, pessoal!
Bora, minha família.
As bandeiras vêm cá para a frente, esta linha passa para trás e as bandeiras ficam todas cá à frente. E o pessoal senta-se nas mesas.
Muito bem, até parece fim de semana. Ai, calma.
Nunca mais. Very good.
Vai, Sofia, por favor, vai.
Agarra o
Você toda tá aí? Adiós,
Olha.
agora, pelo menos, tá? Ok.
Agarra
E agora?
uma. Metes uma a mais vezes no Portugal e depois fazem Photoshop.
O tipo tá ficando. Cadê a Maria? Ô, esse é Minho. Cadê a Maria? Hã?
Tá maravilhosa.
Maravilhoso!
Mete mais
Eu quis ser bastante. Vai.
Estamos bons? Estou bem aqui eu. Estou a estrovar eu.
Pronto. Ou quem tá aí atrás, já junta aí, vai sentando. Tipo, ocupa os espaços então, tipo, vazios. Pra tentar fazer um grupo junto, por favor. Você também já se junta aí já. Ou é ser Coimbra. Vem mais um, só na final do espaço, tipo, em branco. Se possível. Se possível. Ô, Tito, quer perguntar o saco?
Achei que eu.
Olha aí, olha aí.
Aqui, ó. Quem ficou aqui, ó? Essa câmera não fez. João, dá pra ver assim, um pouco? Dá pra ver qualquer coisa. Vou ligar o PC. Ó, vou pegar essa câmera aqui, ó. Só pra ter uma bagulho do preto, né? Misturado só pra ver. Você que tá fazendo aqui, ó. Ou pode espalhar também. Ou, faz assim, vocês estão de roda, vai se espalhando entre os espaços que tem aí, só pra preencher os espaços, pra gente tirar essa foto logo. Luiz, Bárbara, Dona Maia. Tipo, entre o pessoal aí, os espaços, tem lá, para ficar tudo roda, tudo junto.
Muito bem. Bom, já tem esse cara.
Bora, filho, pra tirar essa foto. Senta aí, você já vê, por favor. Assim sentado, né, pessoal? Assim é show. Não tem o... Vai, ô, velho, pelo amor de Jesus Cristo, é só sentar, mano. Capaz, eu confio, por favor. Ô, Minho, Vitória. Bem, obrigado. Cara, tá no espelho.
E esse é Rio de Janeiro, fica onde?
Ai, posso? Pessoal, posso me ajudar?
Não.
Eu faço a montagem depois.
Você é de estar? Tá de estar?
Tá top. Vamos.
Outra, parou.
Não, vamos lá.
Caralho, eu não posso fazer na foto.
Acho que para no streaming da gente. Pode ser depois. Quer falar então? 2.
Deu? Valeu. Pessoal,
Afinal, Felipe, vai ali para o púlpito. Manda. Tá bom.
Júnior.
Manda Manda o link.
Já mandei que está no info.
Olha, cadê que
Quorum check. Silence, please. Quorum check. Algarve. Almada.
Sim.
Aveiro.
Sim.
Castelo Branco. Coimbra. Covilhã. Évora. Lisboa. Madeira. Minho. Porto.
Aqui.
Tomar. Otávio. Okay guys, before we start, we need to make some changes in the agenda and I will be explaining this in Portuguese. Okay. So, what happened is that apparently the minutes for Otávio were not voted in Madeira. And the minutes from Madeira, they were not sent. And obviously, we need to vote them today. So what we will do is, today still, we will send you the minutes from Otávio and Madeira to be voted tomorrow. But you need to agree on this, okay? We need to have a vote for you to accept these conditions of receiving the documents tonight and voting it tomorrow. And it's very important that we have these votings, okay? Also, we'll have a voting. Eu estou a falar em inglês. Nós vamos ter mais uma votação que foi esquecida. Isto, tipo, há sempre muitas perguntas sobre isto, mas é muito simples. Nós temos que ter registro de qual é a remuneração dos órgãos sociais do próximo mandato. Ok? O IAS, não sei quanto é que é este ano, mas mas é um valor qualquer, não é relevante. E sem remuneração é como nós fazemos neste momento e vocês têm de votar. Eu não vos posso dizer o que votar, mas vocês têm de votar a opção certa. Ok? E nós precisamos disto em registro. Ok? Os anos, na última pena do ano, normalmente, para o mandato do ano a seguir. Portanto, nós vamos também votar para incluir isto nas votações da manhã. Portanto, agora eu vou fazer uma votação de mudança na agenda para incluir a votação da ata número 15, a votação da ata número 16 e esta votação da remuneração dos órgãos sociais. Todos perceberam ou há dúvidas? Ok, então vamos fazer votação. Algarve.
Estava aqui já.
Hã?
Não, estava a falar de aprovar a existência
Sim,
Estavam a votar para votar, mal.
Yeah.
sim.
Algarve. Almada.
Sim.
Aveiro.
Sim.
Castelo Branco.
Sim.
Coimbra.
Sem remuneração.
Pessoal, nós estamos a votar para votar amanhã.
Nós estamos totalmente a votar mudanças na agenda.
Vai ser, vou começar outra vez, ok? Algarve. Almada. Silêncio, por favor.
Sim.
Aveiro.
Yes. Sim.
Castelo Branco. Coimbra. Covilhã. Évora. Lisboa. Madeira. Minho. Porto.
Sim.
Tomar. Otávio. Ok? Nós vamos incluir isto na agenda também com o resto das votações. Obrigada. E agora.
Guys, sorry, switch back to English. We're gonna continue with the presentations.
We are just going to do a small like procedural thing. When your comments, thank you also for writing them on Slido, but the appreciation comments, everything will be left to the end. The questions will have priority as they are the more relevant part of the discussion, of course. So even if you write first on the Slido that you're going to appreciate someone, please state that you're going to do that, but please note that you will be the last one to speak, okay? And people can cry, whatever you want. So, Leita, come to the stage.
Mas podem ligar a luz.
Pode ter mais luz aqui só.
Não dá para ver sequer na câmara.
Acho que
É só por causa do streaming. Senão não
era
sei.
melhor ali, mas
Não tem nenhum para ali.
pena.
Chega, está bem. Também o Leitão vê-se bem.
Olha, mas também se podia puxar um bocadinho de pólio para aqui.
É verdade.
Como é que isso acha?
Púlpito.
Mas o que é? A câmara também.
que não está a funcionar? Não é nada, mano. Caiu ao chão e funcionou. Não se caiu ao chão não funcionou. Ai meu Deus, que susto! Não estava à espera disto. Não estava à espera disto,
So, hello guys, I'll be presenting my candidacy for Vice President of ESN Portugal for the next mandate. A little bit about me. I'm born in Coimbra, I'm 24 years old. I currently am studying computer engineering at the University of Coimbra, and I'm a part of ESN Coimbra as well. Okay, my ESN path. I joined ESN Coimbra in March of 2019 for the HR department, where I did most of my path as a member. I was asked to be the HR coordinator, and also I applied to be the Trainees Community Officer of ESN Portugal for that mandate in 2019-2020. In August of 2020, I was elected as the Vice President of ESN Coimbra, and in September I applied for the position of Expansion Officer for that year, and last August in 2021 I was elected for my second mandate as the ESN Coimbra. A little bit about some events that I've participated and was a part of. Some events that I've been a part of, not only national but international. I've been part of national platforms, local board meetings, PTT. I was part of the OC of the ENG in 2020. I was also part of the staff of ENM this year. And some of the international events that I've been a part, I've been to 2 HR and community meetings, one of them online in 2020, and this one in Bucharest. And I was part of the OC of EGM in Porto in April, and I was also part of the OC of the IEG in Coimbra this May. So, about focal points. My first point is sustainable growth. This past year, expansion was a top priority for the national board because their focus was more on keeping the sections that we have now and develop them. But I think this year we have to take a step further because we always got to remember that expansion wasn't a priority this year. I wanted to make it a priority for this year because we got to remember that ESN missions is the enrichment of society through international students, and the more students that we can reach through expansion, the more we can fulfill the mission of ESN. So for this, I propose to bring back the support position of the expansion officer. I also read, at the time that I did my candidacy, the notes from the National Board for the 3-year strategy haven't come out, and I've also read them, and they talk about creating not only just one solution, but an entire team of network and care team, and it will also work with expansion. And this is something that I want to discuss with the next National Board to see if it actually makes sense and it's doable, because we also got to assess if you have the necessary human resources to build a team, because in my opinion, it doesn't make sense to create a team just to create it, and it's not going to fulfill its purpose. After, I want to continue the contacts and processes that this National Board started this year, do the follow-up and start new ones if necessary. Do a process of all the contacts and all the processes that are during all of the expansion process. I remember when it was one of the things that we wanted to work on, but ended up not working too much on it. And have a proper tracking to also be able to have more transparency as well. Development of material for new coming sections. This doesn't mean creating new materials in specific. I want to first review the materials that are already in place, and if needed, create more, developing them so they're helpful for the new section. And of course, can always continue looking for new opportunities of expansion. As my second focal point, training structure. As the SN is made by volunteers, we also, and their work towards making sure that the mobility experience of international students is amazing, and they do a daily work of making sure that they're having the best possible experience. We also train and empower our volunteers to have the knowledge and skills necessary to do that work. For that, my first point is the pool of trainers. For me, it's one of the biggest assets that we have in the Federation, but in my opinion, I feel like underused. One of the things that I want to do is have a smaller pool of trainers, because when I was the trainers community officer, my goal was to manage the pool of trainers. And one of the things that we realized is that by having too many trainers, we end up not doing much. So I want to have a compact focus on key areas that the Federation needs to continue working and improving. After level up for not only newbies, ESNers, local boards, is the proper and the right content and information that they need to continue doing their work. And lastly, I want to empower the training team, because in my vision, the training team should be the main organizer of training events. It shouldn't be the national board's objective or like focus. There's a lot of things that the national board needs to do, and by having a training team focused on creating the content, of course, there's supervision not only by the vice president, but the whole national board, but the main organizer of the content should be the training team. And lastly, as my third focal point, I want support the local strategy. As we know, we have the quality assurance process established in ESN Portugal. This is started in our federation 2 years ago, and one of the things that the first concept note had was you should do a revision of the quality assurance process every year to make sure that it's in the right state for the current state, I apologize for repeating myself, of the Federation. Okay, yeah. So the first thing that I want to do is review the criteria. I'm going to list them all to the current days, maybe add or take a few, also revise the indicators that each criteria has. I want to continue the individual call, because they're the easiest way to get that information, and we can work as a national board to understand the state of the section. Do the analysis and report of all the data that we get. I know tomorrow there's going to be a presentation of general report of the Federation, and one of the objectives of the quality assurance is each section has their own report. Okay, and lastly, study truth. And thank you, and I'm available for your questions.
Speakers, this is open.
First of all, thank you so much for your application. I will just have two questions. One regarding the interaction between the local sections and the international level. So you mentioned you participated twice in the HR community meeting, but from my experience, the national events or international community meetings to the local members. So I would like to ask if you have any plan to bridge this gap and have more members interested and connected to the international level.
Okay. So, in terms of the, for example, the community meetings of each, like meetings, this past year, there's two problems that we have. First of all, I feel like the one local sections don't promote those events because from the start of the year we know that those events are going to end. The objective of ESN International was to have at least 2 meetings of each community, one in the first semester, one in the second. The objective of those meetings are like they're supposed to be physical, and usually the problem that we have is that no one applies for those OCs. It turns out to be like a training online, online training, sorry, and not really a community meeting. And usually it's hard for, let's say, HR, for example, in my community, HR members to go to like an online training about HR. It's not the same as I can talk from experience from having an online meeting and a physical one. The physical one you can actually tackle and actually discuss and think about the things that you want to do, instead of like an online is just someone talking and it's not really effective. So that's one of the problems. Like I don't really have we don't have a plan to promote it, like promote those events because they're part of ESN. But also the local sections need to engage in it. It's not really the national board's entire responsibility.
I totally understand. My question was more, if I didn't make myself clear, towards the continuous work of the communities throughout the year. Because as I'm aware...
Sorry.
No, maybe I wasn't clear, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about like international level. Sorry, you're talking about the communities in the national level.
Well, I'm asking regarding the communities at an international level, but on an ongoing basis. If there's any plan to engage the local members in international level. The answer can be no. I'm just asking if there is any.
Right now, no. Like apart from these events, you just have like the monthly community call, which anyone can participate. If the section are interested in participating meeting, like the calls monthly, so anyone could participate. We can continue doing this, but we also got to realize if people are not showing up, there's like two sides of the coin.
Thank you. Maybe I can ask the question at the other question later.
Okay, well, first of all, congratulations on your candidacy. Those are really, thank you for your interest and motivation in the network. Now, given the current state of ESN Upgrade and Level Up, what changes would you make in the content of training of this event? Would you make any trainings? Do you agree with it like this? And what should or could be the requirements in steps to be part of the pool trainers for you? What do you think it's necessary for a person to have to be able to be inside of the pool trainers?
Can you repeat the first question? Sorry.
Yes. Okay. So given the current state of training that we have with ESN Upgrade and Level Up, would you make any kind of changes in the trainings and how trainings are done, or what kind of trainings we give at those events?
For the biggest change that I want to do this year is that the pool trainer more engaged and like actually facilitate the training. Not only build them and make them, do the DSOs and prepare the trainings, but I want them to facilitate. At least for me, one of my biggest motivations is looking back at like the alumni of the federation and seeing their work, and like that motivates me. And I feel like with new members, looking at people that have been in ESN for like 5-10 years and have knowledge in that area, and seeing that they're still engaged and are part of the network, I think it would be a big boost in motivation for members to continue and actually to different levels, for example. In terms of specific ones, I think we first of all I need to look at the reports and the analysis of the quality assurance to identify the key areas and understand if it's needed to add or remove some training from those events. Your second question was?
The requirements to be part of pull-up trainers.
The requirements of the pull-up trainers. Right now, at least from when I was the community officer, the steps for you to become a trainer is there's a form that's sent to the national platform, and anyone that's part of ESN, not only alumni but even people that are still active in local section can apply to it. And there's like a verification set by the vice president of the national board and the training team about their skills. Like they say they have some skills. I feel like one thing that we can do is have some sort of interview. I don't want to be like the one that just arrived and be like questioning. For example, if Rodrigo would be apply, I wouldn't be. I mean, it's a bit obvious. I wouldn't be asking him about if he knows what he's talking about or not, because we know he is. And it's a tricky because it could sound disrespectful to some people, but I feel like, for example, having an interview before the process could be a way to not certify, but people with actual knowledge of the thing. I don't know if I
Yes. I have more questions, but I have to leave them away.
Okay, guys, after the people that are to close the speakers list, anyone against? Vocês querem perguntar ou estão contra fechar a speakers list?
We are against to
You mentioned the pull-up trainers, which I agree it's an important topic inside our federation. However, it's been quite difficult to have active members applying. We only had 2 applications this year. How do you think you situation?
You can talk directly to some people in specific areas. Let's say, for example, in financial or treasury, you can talk with Rodrigo or Francisco. Like there's. But no, right now, like I don't. Right now, I can give you a straight like specific answer on how to engage them. This is something that we should. Is one of the things that I also want to discuss with the national board. Everyone should weigh on this because it's a way to engage them. Yes, it should be a joint effort.
And I have another question. Behind national events, what training sessions are you planning, and with what frequency?
I feel like one of the things that in the federation exists is the one-to-one trainings, and I feel like I don't remember the last time that any of those happened. Specifically for the calendar of you have to do this training this time, or you have to do this at least once either here or something like that. I feel like the one-to-one sessions are the perfect way to have more trainings and tackle more issues that, for example, in an ESN upgrade, you don't have time to like have trainings in all areas. So specifically the one-to-one trainings is something that I want to make happen more this year.
So specific trainings for each sections?
Exactly.
Okay.
So with especially the quality assurance, now we're going to have the general report of the federation. We're going to work on the individual reports of each section, so it's easier to build and at certain areas for the specific sections.
Now, I propose to close the speakers list.
Just so you know, the speakers list is like is 7 next, then GG, then Cantu, then GG, and Sofia to close. Do you have another question to ask? Okay, add please. After Luis adds the question, is anyone opposed to closing the speakers list? And speakers list is closed.
Margarida, és tu? Yeah,
Okay, so I wanted to build a little bit of training. I think it's a remarkable effort to do like ongoing trainings rather than just the events that we have. But I also have a few concerns regarding capacitating the members, especially local boards and managers, to be able to then train their local section. So I would like to ask if you have any plan regarding training for trainers, and if you would consider engaging with the Educate team to do so.
Yes, it's a possibility. I will have more about it, like the specifics on how to do it. It's definitely something that we should aim. Like previously, one of the things about being part of the pool of trainers was having the possibility of having the training in Educate. It could be something that we should be bringing back, specifically because it can be one way of engaging more people. In terms of like capacitating, for example, local boards, one of the things that you can do with one-to-one trainings is like you don't have to be specific for the whole section. You can like ask for the national board and the training team for a one-to-one section specifically for local boards, and that training can be built and then facilitated in the sections. That's one way of doing it. Also, we have the local boards meeting that we can discuss and have some specific topics that could be added to the content.
Yes, of course. I just didn't talk about the local boards meeting because it's usually not the aim of the meeting to train the board to be able to train, if I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay, but thank you. I'll pass it to Gigi.
Okay, now back to me. Regarding the expansion, do you have any concrete plans on how to reach the associations? And are you planning to reach the same ones that we've been talking to, or new associations? And, okay, because two different questions. What's the difference between the state of local sections and the knowledge gap that we have so in different sections? How do you plan to overcome that with the training plans?
So I'm gonna ask the second question because it's like we're gonna again kind of repeating myself, but since we're gonna have the report of the state of the federation, we're gonna be like the national board is gonna have specific areas that are general, that are like information and training that are necessary for the generality of the federation, not specific to us. So you can have specific for each section, but since you have the report of the whole federation, you can understand in general, and you can adapt, for example, the ESN upgrade or level up for those specific areas. Regarding your first question, like obviously one of the things that I want to do, as I stated, is continue the contacts and processes, do the follow-up of everything that has been started with this mandate and the previous ones, and understand the viability of the continuation of it, and always looking out for new opportunities. This is like one of the ways you can do is reach out to the higher education institutes and understand like if they receive international students, if they have if they want to work more with international students, because it's something that is starting. I feel like there's some usually there's a group of people that approach ESN Portugal and like they've been talking with their higher education institute, and they've been talking with some people that are a group to start the process. Usually it starts like this. We can also do as that's one of the objectives that I want by bringing back the expansion officer, at least one support position, is have someone constantly seeking out for those, like reaching out via email, even going to there to understand the viability of one day having an ESN section with that higher education institute.
So something just Elder wants to do the question, so but Luis is gonna do for him. I just raised the hand to make them on the list, okay? Thank you.
But no. This is Elder's question.
You said one and Elder's have this one.
Yeah, mine will be the last one, I think. Okay, so the question is, okay, we have a very well-structured plan with many events that happen over the year, but like, are these events attractive enough for the volunteers? Like, how can we make it more appealing? Because we are commanding an investment of money, of time, of obviously we are volunteers, we are students, we are workers, whatever, and we have to kind of like actually make an event of non-formal education that participants feel that they can get something out of, they can apply later than like it is currently.
I feel like the first step is, as I wanted to do, revise, which is football.
To the crowd.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is revise the content of the national event, specifically the ESN upgrade, because having an event ESN, it's one of the easiest and most powerful ways of captivating people to stay in ESN. If you have a proper training event where people come out of it and feel like, okay, I really learned something, I want to continue, and then they go to the sections and they try to develop that. People participating I feel like there's also a misconception with training events where people just go there to listen and not. I feel one of the ways that at least from my experience when I participate in those events, is that, for example, the training session specifically should be more active, not as like more theory, more like practice about the things. I know some areas that it's difficult to practice that, but by revising the content, I want to revise the TSOs and trainings that are already established and making sure that they are appealing. Like, I don't know if I answered the question.
Yes, but like my question was more in a way, okay, not just making it less theoretical, I guess, but like how can we actually do this? You've mentioned like a restructuring of the pool of trainers, making it more like strong, let's say. But again, as I think Sophia was asking, does it like how can we make it more appealing? Is it by contacting other people that can help, or is there like just the content itself being like redone in a way?
That's, as I said about the HPK community specifically, that's something that I want to study to see the viability of something that exists, is something that's actually very helpful and we haven't been using and it should be used. Also, about using more of the pool of trainers in events, for example, in the ESN upgrade, I feel like for a new person, as I've said, having someone that has been like 5, 10, 2, 3 years on ESN, that has done their path in ESN, that have given a lot, and to continue to be engaged, I feel like for newcomers, newbies, rookies, whatever each section calls them, I feel like having someone that has been a long time engaged in ESN and continues, they're going to see it, okay, maybe if you're doing this and there are people here to teach me, it's because they actually learned something, and it could be a way of motivating and having people, like instead of just being for example, the national board doing all of the training, then trainers, alumni or even active members of section facilitating those trainings could be a way of making the event very good.
Sophia, you are finished with the questions, right?
We have the last one, right?
We have another one?
The last on
the speakers. No, but Sophia needs to close.
The action plan, the focal points, I think, and in the way that for the past 3 years, starting with, for example, Mariana, then Philippe, then now with your candidacy, the focal points are in a way the same. Does it mean that we are in a stagnant position? There's like a lack of ambition in what we want to achieve with the VP and our HR community? Like, again, focus on the same, then try something different if something isn't working?
That's a good question. It's that, like, specifically in the HR area, in my opinion, these are the three biggest areas that vice president should be working on. And this year, let's say top priority, the first focal point that I have is expansion. So I feel like it's something that has been neglected in the federation, like working it. My objective is, as I stated in the question via email, the objective is to establish and set the processes so we can actually start using it. For example, this is, as you said, the last 3 years, we've been revolving around the same years. I feel like what I want this year to actually shouldn't be like one of the focal points, because it should be something that's already intertwined in the federation's work. Like it shouldn't be a focus as it and as sections grew specifically a little bit weaker because of COVID and people having motivation and leaving and a lack of HR and skills. The National Board decided to focus on strengthening those sections and get back. I want at the end of the year to be like, okay, the expansion process exists, it's established, we know what we have to do, and we continue. So it stops being like a focal point, because being a focal point is something that we need to continue working. The other two is training is out in the HR and volunteers. For me, if a vice president doesn't focus on training, then maybe you're not doing the proper thing, maybe you're not right for the job. And as for quality assurance, it's a fairly new process, and we gotta understand, after 2 years of having individual calls, the quality assurance, the reports, we gotta understand if it's actually valuable, and if it is, again, it's kind of like expansion. It's gonna just start being a process of something that's normal and stops being a focal point. Because right now, since it's fairly new, quality assurance, you're gonna have the general report tomorrow, but no individual report has been done in these 2 years, and there's been 2-3 individual quality assurance calls. So you can't really do a state of the section when you don't have the individual report. So there's still be focused. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, but if I may, just a reaction, because you mentioned expansion and now the quality assurance, and okay, producing a report, but how can we see actually the report on the field in a way? Because we're talking about expansion, but we are losing sections at the same time. And how can this report, this quality assurance process, actually be felt on the sections and for sections well-being?
So the objective of the quality assurance when it was introduced was, as I said, to evaluate, assess, and report on the state of the sections. After we have that report and we know which key areas are missing, or which areas are a little bit below the others, let's say, then there's specific things that you can and should be helping the local sections to make a strategy. It shouldn't just be the national board to do, okay, you need to do this. No, we need to capacitate and help them create a strategy to start working on it inside. We're also, obviously, we're not just saying, okay, now you do this and you don't care about it. That's not the objective. That's why I want to do the revision of the contents, because we have to adapt for example, the kind of trainings that we have in these events to the areas that are missing. I know that some are always going to continue specific ones things that everyone should do, but by knowing which areas are missing, we can help not only the local strategies and start working towards improving it, but also improve the way that we help the section, for example, in national training events.
Okay, thank you.
Our section would like to congratulate you for your application to this position, and hopefully you'll keep up the good work that the current and previous VPs of ESM Portugal have been doing for the Federation. So in the name of ESM Coimbra, your section, congratulations for making this candidacy and also for your motivation.
Thank you.
So, I come to the stage now with Minho. just want to remind you guys to be like, if we are okay with that, like be complete and concise on your questions. Please also, I'm going to remind you that there are documents that may be relevant for you to consult before asking questions in the wiki especially. For example, a really concrete example right now was the expensing strategy that is active for 2020-2023 for ESN Portugal. It was approved by you guys, and it's an ongoing document that needs to be applied, and it's for you to scrutinize. So I believe some of your questions were related a lot to information that was on the document. And with this, Rui, you want to test? You are good? Dois.
Hello, everyone. So I'm here presenting my application for Treasurer of ESN Portugal for next mandate. For the ones who don't know me, my name is Rui Vinha. I'm from ESN Porto. I have 23 years old and I'm an economics student in FEP. I did my Erasmus in Bucharest, and I joined ESN in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. So my experience as a local board, I am the treasurer of ESN Porto since December of last year. Although my short experience in ESN, I already attended some to the first national platform in Utah. I was an international guest in National Platform Castellón in Spain. I also attended EGM as a participant, and I was in local board meeting in Castellón. So, why did I decide to apply for this position? Obviously, to continue my growth and development inside of ESN, I'm currently I'm living in ESN Porto, so I decided that this step would be good for me to develop my own skills. Obviously, because I also think that the national treasurer role it's a lot different from the position in the local section, and I think it's more suited for my qualities. And also, of course, for the reason that we all are here to continue and help the international students. So, my plans for the treasurer position. First of all, and obviously for me the most important, the financial sustainability and funding of the federation. Obviously, with all of this uncertainty stuff that has been happening, it's important that we keep track that the federation needs to be sustainable on their own. Obviously, we know that sometimes it doesn't happen that much, so we need to make sure that this is happening. So first, we need to optimize our traditional source of revenue. Obviously, ESN cards, partnerships, manage the grants, so this is to be optimized to the most, so we can make sure that we are good. Obviously, the creation of alternative sources of revenue. In here, we could think mainly on merchandising. We can maybe, with the help of the local sections, create a centralized portal to sell merch, so that either the local sections or the federation can grow on that. And also with the establishment of agreements with public institutions and companies to fund the national events. This part, it's important since our national events are on their own, that with some partners, sponsors, that we can make sure that we can make improvements on the events and also try to make them bigger and better. On the second part, obviously the ESN cards and the partnerships, it's really important to assess the value of the ESN card right now and what we have to offer. I already said on the Q&A that it's my personal opinion that the price of the ESN card is not updated in most sections. So I think that needs to be a discussion of the federation and with the local boards to see what we actually have to offer to the Erasmus when we sell the ESN card. Obviously, that can be assisted with a planning of ESN card sales with the help of the national treasurer. And it's important to establish also new ways of distribution the ESN cards to the international students. So try to reach the international students that don't have a section in their universities. So try to reach the most international students in Portugal. Also regarding partnerships, now not related with the national events, but we can try to have value to the ESN card also with a partnership that we can make at the national level. And to end, the third point is related with the business and finance community. My experience as local treasurer has been that the community is not connected enough and developed enough, and I think that's really something that we need to improve on the knowledge transfer and the sharing of best practices. The fast example that I can say is that this morning we had a lot of topics related with budgeting and financial of ESN Portugal, and the questions that we have were not so much. So that the treasurer is doing an amazing job, or maybe that the sections are not understanding what's happening. So we need to have more dynamic treasurers and all the partnerships managers that are able to formulate opinions, so that in the future we will have more capability than I've been speaking before. And to end my presentation, how I see ESN in 1 year. I would like that the federation will be more. I would like to have a stronger and capable BFC, and also I would like to have a broader range of partners to both finance the ESN card and the national events. And that's it. Thank you.
Speakers list. Margarida. Do not forget to always say your name and section, okay? Please, because of the streaming. It's not that we don't know your name, still it's necessary for the streaming.
Margarida Sena, ESN Lisboa para Paco.
I'll do it again. Margarida Sena, ESN Lisboa. Okay, so very quickly, congratulations for your application. It's really good that you're stepping up to the plate. We know from Rodrigo's work and Francisco's work that being a treasurer of this organization, this federation, is not an easy task. So I'm really happy that you're stepping up. Now the question actually is a correction of the question that I did by email. It was my bad. I only realized too late that it was very confusing. It's regarding the international business and finance community. So we know that Francisco was also the manager of that community, and therefore we were highly engaged in the national treasurers community, let's call it like that. Do you have any plan to continue this engagement, and if so, how?
Okay, so I'm not totally aware of how the BFC in the international community, like the state of it. So I'm not able to answer now, but there's something that can be obviously evaluated, and obviously that engage can be brought obviously for the national level and for the local sections, and that's something that I want to try. So to have more capable local treasurers, that in the future we can have more like a national treasurer or international treasurers. So the point is to bring the knowledge, and if so from the BFC Community International, that can be done. So far, as I said, I'm not aware of the state of it, but it's something that it obviously can be worked on.
Thank you. This was just because I see that there are a lot of benefits with certain communities are highly engaged with the international level. Because good job. In my opinion, it's something that should be continued.
Margarida Faria.
Margarida Faria, ESN Aveiro. First of all, congratulations on candidacy. And I would like to ask, considering the increasing of the ESN card prices, how are you planning on improving the awareness of the card itself and its benefits? And what is your plan to share the card with the cities without sections? Thank you.
So it's quite higher than the price that we are charging for the international students, and I think that maybe obviously that needs to come from the local sections when they are providing the ESN card to the students. So I think it can be an improvement on communication mainly, but I think that if we communicate better the benefits that we have on the ESN card. So that's why also try to make aware to the international students that the ESN card is valuable. The price being 15 or 20, it's so I think that work of the local sections first, because they are the ones that have contact mainly with international students. But there is an effort that can be done in a national level with a strategic sales planning and also with communication. So I think that's the way. Regarding the second question about
how are you planning for the section for
oh, this
selling
is
ESN
of
cards
course.
in cities that don't have?
So I mean, obviously the best way to do that is to contact the higher education institutions that have international students have a presence of an ESN in their universities to see if the level of international students in their universities are worth it or not to provide the ESN card for them. But also with the selling of the ESN card online, that is quite easy because they can purchase the ESN card through the website, and so the distribution can be like a logistical planning after. So I think that we can try to also make aware to those institutions, higher education institutions, that their international students can purchase the ESN card, not having any section there. So.
Besides Gigi, anyone else for the speakers list? I propose to close the speakers list. Speakers list is closed. How about the
Well, once again, we have another treasure from ESN Porto. We are a machine of making treasures, apparently. But this one is my baby Rui. Although personally, you are very, very, extremely annoying. As an ESN member and as a treasurer, I'm so glad for your work and your passion for this association, okay? Last year, you were just a little baby, and we, the board, we really trusted for even 1 second. You joined us in this journey of being a board member, and you've done an amazing job, okay? We are so, so proud of you. Thank you for everything, and I truly hope that your next journey with the National Board gives you as much joy and development as it did in ESN Porto.
Quem estiver no stream, diga se ouviram isto. Por favor. Se ouviram apenas que eu digam.
Hi everyone, I'm Francisco. I'm going to present to you my candidacy for Secretary of ESN Portugal for the next mandate. Talk a little bit about myself. I'm 23 years old. I'm currently doing my master in quantitative methods in finance and a course in banking law, and I also hold a degree in management from the Faculty of Economics of the University of Coimbra. I don't really want to talk a lot about the events I've attended, but I'd like to focus on three main experiences that I think marked my current ESN path. First, the Erasmus Upgrade in Brussels, a broader vision of education in the network, and as being an OC for the International Erasmus Games as institutional partners responsible. Also, I've been working, I've joined ESN Coimbra in 2019. I've been working with different teams on the national level and on the local level. Firstly, I started as partnerships manager, then I was treasurer. In parallel, I've been working with ESN Portugal as business and finance community manager, and this past year I've been fulfilling the role of local president and also working with our national president as education officer. My motivation for this application is based on 4 points. I'd like to start from the bottom to the top. First, working with international students and representing them, making them feel integrated in the community and in society, making their path during their mobility period memorable. For doing this, it also motivates me to advocate for ESN causes, values, and its mission, because we fulfill them through the international students. Also, advocating for the Erasmus Plus program to ensure more mobility, better mobility, as Juan likes to put it, and also for other mobility. Obviously, advocate for European citizenship, integration, and mobility. So, my focal points for the next year. First, position structure. This will be one of the main topics, I guess, because we are going through the restructure of the national board. And I want to really focus on documentation, but not unuseful documentation that nobody reads. But starting with the general requirements, basically I want to do like, imagine a pocket book of the role of the secretary, its tasks, its projects, so local sections can implement secretaries in their local sections if they desire to. And also transition as the local board, as the national board is doing. Also, making a needs assessment for the federation on key areas and projects, and how can we finance them with grants and obviously improve our work through this. Also, review guiding documents of how to implement national projects and of the national projects themselves, and how to implement them in the local sections. On the second note, how local sections can conceptualize, implement, and report their own local projects. And obviously the 3-year strategy has to fulfill a vision that's undertaking, and also prepare another vision for the secretary on the long run. Also on another aspect, I wish to support the president and the vice president on administrative tasks, facilitate the board's work as much as possible, promote tools for communication, and improve document management systems. And I'd like to emphasize the question of ESN Lisboa about ESN Wiki, to keep it updated and to share information with the sections through Wiki. Also, for the second focal point, I want to focus on the secretariat, obviously. First of all, on human resources. Currently we have a director and soon to be more 3 people to aid the national board. So how can we maintain and sustain this structure, and how can we expand it? That will be one of the main focus of the national board for the next year, and to promote this discussion and to create a strategy for a sustainable secretariat. Also on another note, and regarding the question of ESN portal, about training strategies with the vice president, there should be a training for the secretariat to make them understand our work as a NO, because obviously we cannot expect some who probably doesn't know anything about ESN to come and learn everything as soon as possible. So maintain a strategy to keep them up to date. And on a second note, to use the Secretariat for training itself as a key player for our federation. On to other notes, how we can improve and develop projects with grants and aid the section with that. Teamwork of the National Board on conceptualization, implementation and reporting of the grants. And obviously cooperation with the sections, as they are the ones with contact with the international students and they are the ones that are most able to implement the projects on the communities. Lastly, one of the points that I really want to focus is to work with the President on the ESN Portugal office, and I will be really happy if in the next mandate, if elected, we can accomplish this. Obviously, there have to be new dynamic to be put in place through communication channels and regular meetings between the National Board and the Secretariat. Finally, regarding national projects and also making a bridge to the first focal point, when I said about the updating and development of documentation, basically to empower sections and volunteers on the projects themselves, and also work with the sections on brainstorming sessions and consult them on the future of the project. On another note, social partnerships to improve our projects and to make it externally and to cooperate with different organizations. Lastly, I want to speak about the vision, and when I wrote in the application that ESN should be the European ideal of youth, when I was then doing this presentation, I thought, why be European? ESN is growing, expanding to other countries, so I think we need to start thinking more globally. How we can how we can make an impact on the world. So in these matters, to work more closely with the causes and the SDGs and implement projects.
Speakers list is open.
Guys, please remember to be concise. Do not tell your life story when asking a question.
Gigi. Sorry, Margarita is first. I'm sorry. But I don't know.
Alright, trying to be concise. Margarida Sena, ESN Lisboa. First of all, thank you so much for your candidacy. It was really, really thorough. Given that it is a new position, I think that you are doing an extremely good job in taking the previous national board suggestions on how to create this position. And I also wanted to thank you as ESN Lisboa for your work as education officer, because you gave us very valuable input for our education strategy. And I think that first as education officer, now as future secretary, you are growing a lot in the national level, and I wish you the best of luck. Now regarding the question, I previously engaged, and now this is the job of the whole board. I would like to ask you your specific role in this, and if you are aiming to create the future secretary, for example.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for your kind words. Now regarding the question, it really depends on how sections choose to implement and restructure themselves. For where I understand, not okay, but I really believe that if not the secretary community, at least a projects community that can work with projects, and also with, when I talked about the guiding documents, how can implement and report their own projects, not only the national projects. So I think there should be a community focusing on this. So as to also is my job. So if I have a point of contact that works with the same topic as me in the national board, in the local section, communication will be much more easy for both parties, and it will be implemented to the fullest.
Thank you so much. I really believe that you're the best candidate for the job, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Juliana ESN Porto. Well, first of all, your candidacy is amazing, and I wish my life was as organized as your candidacy. Okay. But all right. So, what do you think could be the best strategies to expand the grant knowledge in the local sections? And since it's a new position, what do you think could be the biggest difficulty in implementing your vision?
So first, mainly regarding training on project management. I think the current national board has been having calls with the local boards. We can also the secretariat and also externals to help ESN sections and also honestly myself on how to help you implement your own projects. Inside the federation, also use the pool of experts and the pool of trainers to do these kind of workshops on project management, on grant management, and if possible, we can also cooperate with other organizations that are already with a full secretariat and they use grants on a much more deeper sense that we do at this moment. So, sorry, what is your second question?
Since this is a new position, what do you think would be the biggest difficulty in implementing your vision?
I think that's really the difficulty, is elected secretary. So what I want to really is bet on the transition and knowledge transfer, and if elected, cooperate with the former NR and projects manager to understand her vision, what we have to also fulfill from the action plan that's ongoing, and also use the 3-year strategy and recommendations and also the brainstorm we do to understand also what the sections want. And I think that's really what I want to do. I want sections because this has to be a teamwork, okay? From myself and on the sections side also.
Thank you.
Sphere. I'll try to be brief, but just to share, we've been having a lot of administrative issues in ESN Coimbra over the years, and this year when Francisco applied to be president, one of his main focus was precisely to solve everything, and we can finally say in the end of the mandate, because of him, our section is completely on track with everything related to administrative issues, and I'm sure that Francisco will do the same in the international level. Also, it's like it makes me and for sure our whole section like very proud to see your path along the years, because last year you were treasurer and this year you were president, and you did such an amazing job. And the more you know about ESN, the more you love it. You can motivate people around you. You have the right motivation to be here. We can tell that you love ESN, you love mobility, you want to promote it, and not only you do everything that you promise that you do, you also have vision. And for that, I think, because of that, I think if you are elected, the people that will be working along you in the board will be very lucky to do that, as we were this year to work with you. And so proud to see this application. This is a new position. You have a vision for it, you believe in it, not only on the national level, but also on the local level. You're really helping me doing this in our local level. And I'm sure you'll help the sections to do the same and to believe in this position, the importance of it. And so, yeah, thank you so much for this application. You're amazing.
Okay, just a few words. Thank you so much, Sophia. Honestly, you have been amazing for the last year, for this mandate. I really couldn't think of someone else to be alongside me, also working on this, and the rest of the board, of course. But especially you, because you know that all the issues we've been through, and we, as you said, it was not only me that accomplished that by myself. We did it as a team, and I think that's the best. Thank you so
Manda-lhe um link, manda-lhe um link. Onde é que se mete?
É só dar ali ao Rodrigo.
Guys, Luciano,
Okay, guys, just one question. On the info group today, Victoria sent a message about the key being in someone's purse. This key is from one of our volunteers. She misplaced it last night in someone else's decoration of the gala inside this person's house. So, if you may check your purses, we would appreciate that a lot. Please, it's a very important matter.
It's like a bunch of keys. There's no keychains, nothing, but it's like a bunch of keys. Please check your purses. Like, she put it in the black purse yesterday. So please, guys, important because the gala decorations are there, and we want gala decorations.
Não, calma. Manda e-mail. É para qual e-mail? Para qual e-mail? Não viste? CT-chefe. É. Vai ficar mais bonito. Espera 2 segundos. Também não há problema.
Technical problem, sorry guys, let's just wait a few more minutes and we can explain in the meantime. So Anna will present, then Julia will present, and then both of them will come to the stage and we'll do both of them, okay?
Já viu?
Sim, Margarida.
Já está.
Okay, so the questions, you can have questions for both of them and they will answer by turns, or if you have questions just for one of them, you can say specifically that is just for that person. Okay?
Essa rodinha não funciona. Essa rodinha não funciona, foi o que eu disse. Por isso é que eu disse para meter toda a apresentação, porque não gostava nada. Tipo, não vai. Mano, vai lá meter a tua conta no instante. Vai lá! Eu disse que não funciona. Mas não é tu, é da Renata. A conta está na da Renata.
Não, o projetor não tem controle. Não tem controle? Não, mas isso é dela. Ela? Ô, Mafalda. Congela o projetor para fazer isso. Esse é igual. Como é que tá isso? Parou de dropar. Tá para aqui.
Já deu? Estás a ver?
Só Pedro.
Guys, silence please.
Okay, so hello. For those who don't know me, my name is Anna, and I'm 23 years old. I studied languages, literatures, and cultures, but that's not really relevant for this. But throughout this year, I'm still currently in the role of national representative and project manager of ESN Portugal. And just to give you a quick background on my ESN roles, I joined DSN Portugal in 2018, and then I decided to take the next step, which was to apply for the national board. Okay, so I'm not gonna also refer to you all the events I've attended, but I would like to highlight some. Specifically, being part of the ENM staff in 2019 was definitely something that gave me a lot of motivation in organizing events and being part of the of ESN Portugal and actually applying for local and national board. But especially, I would like to highlight. Sorry. Okay. But I would especially like to highlight my participation in the 2 physical general assemblies that we had. It was definitely an amazing experience that gave me a lot of knowledge on ESN, and also it was quite an amazing opportunity to live ESN as intensely as we do. And lastly, being part of the organizing committee for the Erasmus Generation meeting, that was definitely the most amazing experience and the highlight of my ESN career, and it gave me or at least contributed to a set of skills that I already have, such as team management, events organization, project maintenance and development. But more recently, I think I developed even more my decision-making process and also my strategic planning. Okay, so to what really matters here. My first focal point is regarding the Erasmus National Games, and I divided this into 3 different topics inside of this one, which I consider are the most relevant in my candidacy. The first important thing inside of this focal point is the brand expansion. This means that we need to assess the outcomes of the Erasmus National Games, what we are already doing, what we need to improve, and also use it to use the event as a celebration of the Erasmus Plus program, which was definitely something that a lot of you mentioned before in the consultations that we did for the 3-year strategy recommendations. This will eventually increase the commitment and attendance of the local sections. Also, related to commitment and attendance of the volunteers and the international students, it's the financial and logistical sustainability of the event. There are a lot of ways that we can reach this and keep improving it, to have more visibility, a lower fee, and also to have more participation and engagement. And this can be partnerships, it can be done with cooperation with other sports organizations, federations, and any other organization that is related to health and well-being, and also to mobility. And the last one is, of course, the sports coordinator, which is a key okay, it's a key for the involvement of the sections in the Erasmus National Games. As you know, the Erasmus National Games don't exist if the local sections do not incentivize their own Erasmus to participate, and also their own volunteers. So the sports coordinator is quite important when it comes to preparing the local trials. A lot of sections don't do local trials, sometimes because they forget, or sometimes because they don't know how to, and the sports coordinator is an important key into helping them and creating their own local trials, and even gathering more visibility for their own events, and create more synergies between other local organizations that can help them even fund their own international students' attendance to the event. Is really on the national events, and on this point I also divided in 3. One of them is the digitalization of our events. As you know,
We have the ESN portal, which can be improved, and it can also be used not only as it is being used for tracking the national events we have for international students, but it can also be used for our own national events to track and help and become more easy to do. The second one is accessibility. And accessibility can be done in two ways. It can be done financially, and also the second one is socially/physically. This second one we're already tackling throughout this year, where we have a working group, Mobility Without Barriers, to help volunteers in this area, and it can also take part organization in organizing the events, also to have a standard and to follow and to better follow procedures, and of course here the help from the European Solidarity Corps volunteer will definitely be key, and the other one are the local and national partnerships. We can definitely expand more on our or try to and look for partnerships that can help us reduce fee, create better relationships for the future, and that can provide us for a more anticipated accommodation, fees, and better partnerships. And my third focal point is regarding the events and projects community, which has been joined this year. And I think one of the purposes to join the communities was for the projects and the events to lift each other up. And since our projects are reflected into all the events that you do on the local level and on the national level, and I divided it into two things also. I was already part of this community. I was supervisor also of this community with Sarah and Rafa throughout this year. So I understand that some sections have some training needs, and this can be done. This can be done with the help of our pool of trainers. We have a lot of people who want to give training. We can do small trainings during the communities, of course, depending on on the necessities of the local sections. And the second one is the transition documents. Usually transition is only done in the last month of the mandates and in a very short period of time. Actually, we should be preparing transition documents and important stuff throughout the year, and we can definitely do this with the help from the local community. And yeah, okay, so another year, why not? One. Second, I really enjoyed this year. Thank you.
Não, quero ver a cara. Deixa. Ah, ok. O mesmo final.
Certinho, papai.
É, rapaz.
Isso é uma camisola.
Guys, please silence, okay? 3, 2, go.
Tá desligado. Não, é tipo isso. Já tá.
Okay. Hello everyone. So, for the ones that don't know me, my name is Julia Cavalcanti and I'm applying for events manager. For a little bit of background, I'm 25 years old since 2 days ago. I'm graduated in advertising and marketing, and I'm doing my master's in digital marketing and analytics. And I am from Fortaleza, Brazil, but I moved to Portugal 8 years ago. 5 of those years were in ESN. I joined ESN in August 2017. And my path was mainly focused on communication due to my background, and in tried to go to as many events as possible in my first year, and that led me to be the eventer for 1 year, and then became even more addicted to events and became 2 years being the president of the chairing team of ESN Lisboa, and I also have been part of
Concom International in the social media team for 1 year. Those are the events that I have been taking part of, but I'm not going to go in details about them. Now coming to my focal points, that is what really matters in this candidacy. My first focal point is the Erasmus National Game, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my vision about this event. The Erasmus National Game has a national event, is still pretty new. We just have 2 editions, so we don't have a very well-defined structure for the event. There are several points that need to be improved. One of them is really the funding of the event, and of course, within funding opportunities. The event have a great potential, and there are several grants related to health and well-being that we can apply in order to reduce the fees. And this is one of the points. And then the event is divided by 2 parts. We have the competitions, and we have the, we call the Plan B, but it's the extra program, and both of them need to be rethought. For the competitions, to review the event report and work with both the past and sport coordinator and the new one to come up with the plan for the competitions and to do it as soon as possible so we can pass these informations for the local sections so they can work on their local trials with time ahead and now. And the other part program, we need to work to make the activities really attractive so people can see that the event really have a value. And it's really important to have a good balance between activities and break times so that participants also can watch the competitions. And I also believe that adding a little bit of the Coimbra/Portuguese culture to the event would be really enriching to make the event more attractive as well and to reach bigger audience. But this needs to be done in a way that doesn't overcomplicate the logistics that are already quite heavy in this event. Then coming to mobility. Social inclusion is one of the 6 causes of ESN work. However, when it comes to organizing events, it is still not a main concern. This needs to be tackled carefully and in 2 different levels. One is the national events and the other is the local event, the local sections. When it comes to national events, first thing that we need to take in consideration is the accessibility of the venues when we are preparing the event, and we need to advertise those conditions. For the external events, the events for Erasmus, this needs to be done through the communication package, so it's already out when we are promoting the event. And for the internal events, this should be done through the survival guide. And we should also use the registration form in order to assess if we have event, which is the disability, and prepare our OC in case we need to provide any support for this person. I was really happy when I saw the survival guide for this national platform because ESN Minho already did it, and I think this should be really a standard for national events. And when it comes to the local level, a lot of times what is missing is really information and training. This year I know there is a booklet that is being developed about this topic, and I would like to use it as a starting point, as a training and sharing information with the local sections, because there are really simple ways, small changes that we can make on the events that can make them more accessible. And it's really a matter of being events organizers in our community. And I would like to tackle that through the events community. And finally, we are 13 sections that on our daily work, what our volunteers mainly are focused on is on organizing events and projects. We organize hundreds of events per year, and sometimes even the same events are organized in a different ways. And the events and projects community is a good place to share good practice, tools, and brainstorming. And training necessities focus on those two specific topics, events organization and project management, and to give small trainings for the members. I also believe that it will be really enriching to expand this community a bit more than just the events manager and coordinators, and also make them accessible for all of the people in the sections that are interested in getting to know more about events organizations and project management. Also because my focus would be in giving them training. So the more people that have access to training, the better it is for the section. Then that's it. Thank you.
To the stage, and like I said, we'll have question round for both of them. You can ask questions to both of them, and they will take turns answering, or you can ask a question directly to only one person. Okay? And Margarida first.
Margarida Faria, Sena Aveiro. This question is just for Julia. Being part of INENI this year, how do you pretend to tackle the knowledge gap?
Can you please repeat?
In your application, you talked about national events. Since you haven't been part of any this year, how do you pretend to tackle the knowledge gap?
I understand the concern. Unfortunately, I was not able to be part of the national events this year. But I do ENM twice. Of course, it's always different, but it's really based on prior experience and consulting people that have been part of the events, and especially the past events manager.
I have another question for both of you now. Considering your background, what communication of national events, from promoting OC recruitment, updates among teams, and promotion with international students and stakeholders?
Okay. Can you just repeat? I understand that is related to communication, but I didn't understand the last part. Can you please repeat?
Do you want to repeat all the question?
No, just.
It's like, how do you like to ensure the communication in national events, from promoting OC recruitment, updates among teams, and promotion with international students and stakeholders?
This needs to be together with the communication manager, but what can I say? Has related to internal process. I believe that the current one for recruiting OC is and it's really tried also through the community.
Sorry, a question. Are you talking about communication like with inside the OC for the international students? Because you said a lot of types of communication. Everything.
Façam pergunta em português.
Se calhar. Podes fazer? Consegues fazer?
Ok, pronto. Era só mesmo tipo também para melhorar também a comunicação. Era um bocadinho tipo, era falar mesmo de comunicação também em conjunto com o Communication Manager, de forma que poderiam chamar mais pessoas tipo, e promover o mais possível.
Ok. Não sei se queres adicionar alguma coisa para responder.
Não tenho assim muito a adicionar, é como eu disse, isso é mesmo ao você trabalhar com Communication Manager quando se está a se criar o Communication Package. Acho que essencialmente é isso, não conseguiria sem o Communication Manager dar uma resposta a essa pergunta.
Okay, Desculpa, eu entendi que a comunicação era para chamar o pessoal para os eventos nacionais e participação nos eventos. Ok, pronto. Nesse caso, tipo, isso pode ser feito através da comunidade de eventos e de projetos, é para isso que ela serve também, para promover este tipo de iniciativas. E também deve ser feito através dos nossos eventos nacionais. Nós temos eventos nacionais como este neste momento. De que outra forma podemos melhor promover os nossos eventos nacionais para os estudantes internacionais do que aqui convosco, em que vocês recebem em primeira mão informação nossa e conseguem também partilhar informações.
I forgot just to thank you for both the candidates.
Mas agora?
Thank you.
Diogo,
Diogo Ferreira, ISM Covilhã. First of all, congratulations for your application. My question is related to E&M. What is, in your opinion, the margin for improvement and specific measures that you think to work out?
Mas eu acho que foi mesmo essa a pergunta que nos fizeram por e-mail. Acho que foi a Margarida de Influência em Lisboa, não? Acho que, não sei se foi. E acho que foi uma pergunta para nós as duas, que nós podemos responder também.
Because I read the email, but I didn't saw like the specific measures itself for you.
Okay, can you repeat the question again?
For improvements and specific measures to accomplish it.
Okay, I mentioned that in my email. Two of the things that we can do to improve E&M. Okay, first of all, E&M already has a really good foundation. It's a structured event that has a good structure, it needs to be followed. There's always space for development, of course. And two things that we can definitely do are better explore the partnerships that we already have and the future ones that we can have. It's something that we can definitely explore even more because there's a lot of potential in Albufeira. There's a lot of structures and organizations that want to work with us and that want to develop even more the cooperations that we have, for example, the City Hall. And also, I think that the Plan B is something that we can develop more because it's always a little bit of a struggle and it's always a little bit of a problem. So definitely this is something that we can plan ahead with the partnerships that we already have because we know they want to cooperate with us to the fullest and they want to help us and make E&M a success because it's also good for Albufeira.
My answer is going to be quite similar to Ana Sofia because this is really what can be improved. We already have solid partnerships, but we can always develop them even more throughout the years. We have been doing for a lot of times. We have a solid partnership with the venues, with the City Hall, and we also need to prepare it's always a problem every year. And we need to be prepared for it. And this can be done with partners. I won't say so much with the City Hall because of the past experience that I had with that. But we can always find new partners to solve this situation with time ahead.
Thank you.
Now, Gigi.
For your candidacy. And now for the question. So, okay, so there's a focal point on both of your candidacies that is a bit different from the other. Regarding the ENG, so one of you would like to keep the Plan B, and the other one would like to develop more Plan A, and then further develop the Plan B. So, for next, why do you think that your way is the best way? I think it's kind of, well, I want to understand a little bit the differences.
Okay. In my case, I believe both of the plans needs to be improved. The competitions are the core of the national games since the beginning of the event, since before it was a national event. So that part needs always to be solid in order to improve the other. However, I believe we can do this improvement in both of them at the same time, using different parts for each thing. For the Plan B, I believe that the extra program have capability of reaching even bigger audience than just the competitions. It's at least on my point of view, as someone that was from the local section that organized local games, it's really difficult not only to find participants for the local trials, but for those participants to be interested in paying for competing in the national level. So I believe it's much easier to find a bigger audience for the extra program than for the competitions.
Okay, a reminder that my way is your way because you decide on that. So, and yeah, I do think that the plan B that we have right now has a lot of problems, not because of the plan B, but also related to another thing, which is unlike ENM, ENG still doesn't have a solid foundation, doesn't have a plan A that is solid enough that we can take it and just use it the same way we do with ENM. So we cannot want to have like an amazing event with an amazing plan B that everything works out when we don't have a solid foundation. But definitely the plan B has a lot of potential, and mentioned the whole using the event as a celebration, and the plan B, the extra plan is related to that and has a lot of potential and it can work. But first we need to solve the major problems that we have with the plan A, which is by the way, which in my opinion, I think that we are not promoting ENG the way it's supposed to be promoted. I think that's the main problem, and if we're not promoting it right, we're not going to have people for the participation in the plan A, not even in the plan A, how we're going to have participating in the plan B. So I think it starts with us. We need to improve our communication, the way we share, expand, because I mean the goal is to always expand our national events and to keep improving them and not the other way around.
Our question
is the same
Margarida Sena. Alright, so first I would like to thank you both, and the questions that I'm going to raise are going to be for both of you, as I want to be as impartial as possible. So first to thank Julia, come on, it's true. First to thank Julia because she has always been a force within ESN Lisboa, and I really thank you for your work. And despite not having been active at the national level in the past year, you weren't discouraged to present your candidacy. Regardless of the outcome of this, I really hope that you continue being present in the national level and in ESN, and I hope to see you grow. For Anna Sofia, I'm really happy to see you applying again, even if it's to a different position. Maybe it wasn't the path for you, but that didn't discourage you to continue participating in the national board and contributing as much as you have been. So now regarding questions. I might be a little bit annoying here, but I wasn't satisfied with your answer regarding the local trials. So you just mentioned that to be able to have a good ENG, you need to improve the way you are promoting it. And that starts with the local sections, because before there's an ENG, there are the local trials. And as we have discussed in NP Madeira and LBM, we are not doing the local trials and engaging much with the cause of well-being and I forgot the rest. Yeah, and the local level. So, how will you support the local sections, not only in realizing the event of the local trials, promoting this very important cause of ESN, and therefore improving the image that ENG has, and therefore the applications? Sorry for the ridiculous long question.
Sorry, and then I have.
I'm sorry. That's terrible.
Sem surpresas, Dulce.
Posso ir lá? Quem é que é primeiro?
Okay, so regarding the help we can provide for the local sections, I mentioned that in my candidacy, and I also mentioned again in my presentation, the sports needs to start first with ourselves. Like that's, I think that's common ground. Like all the people that participate in the ENG, they also had the opportunity to go to the International Erasmus Games. That's a huge opportunity that we need to share with other people. The same way when you go home after this event and you share with your newbies how amazing the national platform it was, how good it was to be here. That's how we incentivize and motivate people to go to the events. It's sharing your own personal experience. That's key. And it was something that was done to the local sections help in not in manpower to say the person is not going to the local section to organize the local trials, but to actually explain what a local trial is, because I have the concern that a lot of sections organize the local trials because they have to do an event. It has to be about sports so they can take a team to the Erasmus National Games. It doesn't have to be like that. The local trials can be super fun. It can be done throughout the entire year. It doesn't have to be only done for the Erasmus National Games. And I think that the sports coordinator can help in providing guidelines for the local trials, also helping them with deadlines, knowing when they have to do the things they have to do, how to organize the event. And I think that it can also be good for local sections to start seeing their own as an opportunity to expand their own cooperations they have with their higher education institutions, because universities are super connected to sports events, and they really enjoy that sort of event. It can be a really good start to create in other institutions, and it can actually help them even fund in the future their participation in the Erasmus National Games, which is right now a problem for a lot of local sections.
I know that local trials have been especially difficult in Lisbon. We had to restructure a little bit of the things at the last minute. However, it's really true, and also even the events community. This can be also discussed a little bit there, bringing the sports coordinator to talk about the event, and also give guidelines, but I believe that through direct calls of the sports coordinator with the events organizers for the local trials, this can be done, because it's always different when we're talking directly with the person. And it's really giving guidelines, giving constant support, and giving the information necessary on how to organize the events, that we can improve this situation.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a 20-second question now, I promise. So, previously, so I would also like to ask you regarding the support of the candidacy of the sections to be OC of international events. I feel that it has two sides of the question. One, please answer. Thank you. Okay, the question is, how would you support the sections to become OC of international events?
First of all, in order to suggest, they need to approach us, and it's really giving them this, and also verifying past applications that have been done by sections in Portugal in order to give them a better support.
Yeah, it's very similar to what I was going to say. I think we need to continue the process that we've been doing right now. We always incentivize and motivate our local sections to organize international events. No matter how many events we already have, like we always support them. And right now, I feel like the support that we provide throughout their own candidacies, it's quite good, because we are in a state that the sections feel comfortable enough to come to us and say, we're going to apply for this, and we want you to help us. So I think we need to continue the process that we do right now, which is to support throughout the candidacy and even the organization advice as we are.
I agree, period. Thank you.
As a Minho. Nome e secção.
Cantu SN Minho. So my question is for both, but I'm just gonna take Julia's answer on the Q&A to use it as an example. So in Julia's Q&A answer, she mentioned that the inflation was responsible for the 110 euros fee of the international platform. But as you know now, the final fee is 80 euros, and that's staying for sponsors and partners, proving that having sponsors is crucial for making. What's your plan to inset? What's your plan to attract more partners to support ENM? And what will you do differently than the last mandates to accomplish this?
Okay, so in support of ENM, right? Okay. I think the way to attract partners is a little bit, we need to on that, which is to actually promote ENM outside of ESN, which is something that I think we need to improve a lot. And it is to promote ENM not just as a spring break, but also as we were talking about ENG, which is a celebration of mobility and Erasmus Plus program. So using what we already have from ENM and sharing it and promoting it in a way that it attracts partners, because if we promote it this way, it attracts partners and people want to be part of this. I think it's a really good way to do it. I don't know, I think it's to reach out also the way we have been doing, to reach out to are a great advantage for the event and see if it makes sense for us, both for us and for them.
My answer is going to be quite similar to Ana Sofia. Is really promoting us outside of the, and there are different stakeholders that we can approach for ENM and for ENG. It's two completely different targets and communication styles, and contacting directly the companies and really doing press release per se of the event in order to attract the partners.
Yeah, okay, just to answer this, like, this kind of just already be done, and as I can say, like, for our main partner, like, the responsible party didn't want to join ENM, which the only event that makes sense for them to be, they didn't want to be, and how can we just counter, that was my question, because this, like, attracting partners with press releases or contacting them, we are already doing this, and mainly partners that make sense to be in the event, they don't want to be. So why do like the city hall want to be or whatever? How can we counter and attract? Like, can use responsible party as an example for the event.
I really don't have an exact answer to give to you.
I wanted to add something, which is, okay, I'm going to take the example that you gave from the responsible party, and basically, like, we also need to do a good promotion of the partnerships that we have and the ones that already work with us. And that's also a problem, is that sometimes we don't pay attention to all the partners and we don't give them the right or the due respect that they should have. And that's exactly what happened with Responsible Party. And that's why they were not present in ENM. I think first we need also to respect them and improve the cooperation we have with them.
So guys, now we have Sophia, then Gigi and Sarah for comments. So I propose to close the speakers list. Anyone against? Speakers list is closed. Thank you.
Sophia, yes, and Coimbra. This is a question for both candidates. Do you think it's feasible for the sports coordinator this year to promote and help sections with the local rounds and also prepare in just 3 months? And if the answer is no or probably not, how do you plan to fight this?
Unfortunately, the timeline is really tight. We are talking about, we still need to recruit a sports coordinator, so of course the time management will be a problem. But if necessary, be helping the sports coordinator more actively, I will do it.
Okay, so it's not that, yes, these Erasmus National Games are going to be exactly what we want, because we do not have time to do all of this in such a short amount of time. It's not feasible. The idea that we have for the Erasmus National Games needs to be prepared in advance, and we should be already, at this moment, we should already be concerned about the Erasmus National Games for the next year,
to improve the partnerships, to actually communicate better with the local, have them even understanding better the trials. It needs time, and obviously these Erasmus National Games, it's also in a new position, like it's in a new position in the calendar, so we're also trying that out to see how it works and to see where it fits the best for us and for all the sections. But we should already be concerned about the future of our national events. Yeah.
Gigi. Juliana, yes, important. Okay, so now it's my congratulations to both of you. Of course, I want to take honor for when I say that you are the star of the team and that we are very, very proud of you and all your journey in ESN Porto, in ESN Portugal. And thank you so much for being a very helpful and a very present alumni in Porto this year. It's been amazing still having you with us, okay? And you have done a great job at the national level, like really, really good. As we did an amazing job also, that you're still motivated and you're still here for this. And as I wish I hope ESN gives you as much joy and as development as, because it's been amazing. So thank you, and I hope next year is amazing for you as well. Sarah.
Okay, so I will try not to look at you because otherwise I will not be able to make this comment. But I'm doing it as events manager still and also as your friend. Both of you have shared this journey with me, Julie in the beginning, so she entered ESN along with me and my generation, and Sophia in the past year, I can say like in the past 2 years, since she was also a local events manager. I will be very happy with the person that will be on my position, and I will be more than happy to continue to see you grow in ESN. I have to say that it's really Julia here and another person from ESN Lisboa. You have the courage and the will to go to the national level and to pursue the dream of an events manager. So that was my path, and I'm really, really happy to see you doing that. And for Ana Sofia, I can only thank you for these last years and for all the help that you give me and in my work, and for you for being the life and soul of our national board and our team, because it's true. So thank you very much for your work. Good luck for both of you, and I'm sure that all of them are really proud as well. So thank you very much.
Guys, what do you prefer, coffee break or evil?
Evil. Coffee break.
Primeiro, coffee break. O Ivo é mais gostoso. O que é que prefere? Eu já comi várias vezes. Não, quer despachar.
Mas quem manda? Mas não é o I que decide, são as secções.
Mas quem estava antes? Estava ele agora ou estava quem?
Não é nada. Respira.
Espera, mandaram tirar foto de vocês chorando. Vai.
Eu tenho outros quadros do backstage.
Silence, please. Silence.
Deixa eu ver. Ai, sim, por favor.
So, hello everyone, for those who don't know me, my name is Ivo, and I'm presenting my candidacy for IT Manager of ESN Portugal for the next year. To tell you a bit about me, I started in 2016-17, where I had a chance to do my Erasmus in Torino, and where I got to know ESN and fell in love, and it started since then. I have a master's degree in aerospace engineering from both Técnico Lisboa and Politecnico de Torino. However, I never worked in this area. I've been working for 3 years as a technology consultant at EY, Ernst & Young, which is a consulting firm. I've been working mainly in process design and process managing IT projects related with low-code platforms and with process automation. Regarding my ESM career, I've been here for a while. I joined ESM in 2017 in cultural events and what is now projects. I became, 1 year I was elected local representative project manager of ESM Lisboa, where I got the chance to develop other cool projects and got myself and the section coordinator to the network. 1 year later I became the auditing reporter of ESM Portugal. Last year I was appointed the ESM card coordinator for ESM Portugal, and this year I became also an active member of NEC data analysis team that works basically data analysis for the section questionnaire and ESM volunteer survey. Regarding the events that I participated, I would highlight here, there are a few of them, but as a participant I would highlight the Under the Rainbow study session, which was a very cool event in Budapest, where I got to work on LGBT issues and then get back to Lisboa and actually implement it and make a change. And as we'll see in stuff, this year was actually the most amazing, where I got the chance to work at the OC of both DGM and NF. My plans for the position are focused on 4 main points: the development of our tools and the continuous support to our sections. Regarding the volunteer skill, it is in the federation we need more skilled volunteers, and it would be my goal to create, let's say, a pool of, I don't want to say experts because that's going to be another thing, but a pool of experienced people ready to work on IT in ESN. To achieve this, we have some ways that we can use. For example, this was an idea that I had of independent and continuous learning platforms. This is, for example, the case of Udemy. Maybe you know there are tons of them that have specific fees for NGOs that are much cheaper, and that we can use those fees to basically offer to our volunteers continuous learning. They learn on their own, when they want, how they want, about what they want. And continue as well with FAR, we've been to as well developing in-house learning material and the holding of physical and virtual workshops targeted at specific IT software, specificities of IT in ESN community. It's essential that for us to have IT people motivated in the local level, we need a strong community. And this can be focused, we can base ourselves in a wide array of topics. The development of support materials for the community, training is always a follow-up both from the updates from the international, national and local level, and the development of team building as well. For this, it would be essential, in my opinion, next year to create a support position of IT community manager, so that this can indeed be developed and we have a person dedicated to it, to produce materials, to produce everything, so that together with the IT manager, we can create better IT community tools. First one, we have to maintain what we already have, whether it is the infrastructure and especially the grants applications that we have. Some of the services we use, especially cloud services, are extremely expensive, and we need to fund them so that we are financially sustainable, so maintain the grants that we have, mainly Microsoft and Google. Also, develop, and here I will need the input from the sections. We may develop new things, specific apps, but we need to know what you need in the sections. Specific flows that you see, the processes that you see are very boring and it's always the same thing, and we can write small scripts to help you. This is where we can develop and make new things for you, but we need to know what you need to be developed and what are your needs in your section. And scope. Scope means find new functionalities or new uses for our already existing platforms. We can, and one of the examples that I did in my application is the ESN portal. We can start using it for internal events as well, and do the sections that to sell as well, what you think would be profitable, interesting to have in the ESN portal. It's an amazing tool that we have. We have to develop, we can develop it more, and it should be our target. And the continued support to our sections, basing myself here in 4 points. The website, especially now with the migration to the new satellite, it is very important that all the sections migrate to it and that we have effective content there in the websites. Not only ESN portal, all the sections, and this can be done in partnership with the communication manager. So it's important that we all have content there because the website continues to be infrastructure to the sections when you have infrastructure issues, and as well to the grants that you may want to apply to. It will be always the job of the IT manager national to help you with these applications as well. Regarding the tools, it's referring to what I talked before, develop specific tools that target your needs in your sections. And when it comes to the GDPR, we deal with a lot of international students in ESN Portugal. We have a lot of data, and it's very important that we deal with it in compliance with this GDPR since we are in the European Union. There are tools accessible for this, even at international level. Some assessment tools have been developed, and it would be my goal to use it to, let's say, do a kind of internal GDPR assessment to make sure that we are being compliant, and if we are not, to emit recommendations to start being compliant. And to end it, this is my vision in general, my plan for the position, so that in 1 year we have better prepared sections, we have more skilled volunteers, and we have indeed better tools prepared for the work we do every day in ESN. Muito obrigado.
Speakers list is open. So, Margarida.
Is someone going to add a question?
To have any questions?
Darwin, are you going to add? You can speak, you can send us
First of all, congratulations on your presentation. It was really nice. I think your focus points are very well. My question would be, I see you want to focus on training volunteers, but as we have seen in the IT community meeting, for example, we find that the threshold is Erasmus ESNers to actually start learning this and to start actually training in this. How do you want to lower the threshold so they would actually start joining the training?
We have to develop interesting training for the community, and that's why I want as well the IT community manager, so that two heads thinking about what would be the better way is something that indeed we will have to think, and that's something that, for example, it would be interesting to use as well the IT community, the international one, for me to know what is being done outside in the other countries, so maybe they have also interesting ideas for me to use here in Portugal and make effectively the trainings more interesting, and I hope that people will come, learn about IT, and then implement it in our sections as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Juliana is in Porto. Well, we will thank you very much for your application. I think it's really well done, and I think the presentation was also very good, because I know that sometimes you have to skills for us, but it was really good and it was easy to understand, and it was nice aesthetically too, I liked it. But yeah, it was easy to understand. It was very prepared, I think, and so thank you very much for your application. And
Questions? No, so Margarida.
Okay, I can have those now. Okay, so Margarida Sene, ESN Lisboa. Once again, I really would like to thank you for your application and for stepping up to the plate. We talked a couple of times about this, and I know this wasn't your first choice to be part of the national board, and I know it's a lot of commitment, but I really appreciate that you have applied, and I think you're going to be a great team, especially Team ESN Lisboa, to the national board. Now, I also wanted to thank you on a more personal note, because I know that you left ESN Lisboa with a little bit of drama, but regardless of the drama and you being one of my predecessors, you always with me and my position in specific, and wanted to engage, the alumni to engage, keep engaging with ESN Lisboa and yeah, keep growing with us. So I wanted to thank you for not just ditching us and still being here in ESN with us. Thank you.
Sara?
Thank you.
Bem, agora é que foi. Okay, so first of all, I'm so sorry because probably I will not make myself clear and I will cry a bunch, but I will try not to since I will. Saving my tears for tonight.
Vai ficar registrado.
Vou falar português, senão vai ser muito difícil. Eu não consigo imaginar o meu percurso na SN sem ti sair. Fico muito contente que estás aí e... Ok, tenho muita pena que os nossos caminhos não se tenham cruzado todos ao mesmo tempo, não só os nossos, mas muita gente que está aqui, porque viemos de uma geração de cenas muito bons e nem todos chegaram à direção nacional ao mesmo tempo.
No entanto, é com muito prazer que te vejo aqui agora. Sei que vais ser um excelente membro da direção, tens uma capacidade de resiliência enorme. Não podias estar mais contente de ser uma das tuas melhores amigas e muito obrigada. Desejo-te a maior sorte do mundo e sei que a Bia também precisava estar aqui, portanto, I can say for both. O nosso grupo chama-se Para Onde é que Nós Vamos Fugir? Aparentemente só saímos de Lisboa, porque de resto ficamos cá. E boa sorte.
I'm correct, but I ask all the candidates to come here, please.
Everyone that is a candidate,
The rest go away.
with your wallet.
Not joking, not joking.
É para fechar a porta?
É para fechar
Sim.
a porta.
Close the door.
Vai, fecha a porta aí. Fecha a porta.
Card check. Algarve.
Guys, wait, guys.
Silence.
Já estamos on outra vez.
Algarve. Aveiro. Castelo Branco. Coimbra. Covilhã. 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 Évora. Lisboa.
Aqui.
Madeira.
Aqui.
O voto da Madeira não foi delegado corretamente, eu já lhes enviei um e-mail a avisar.
Minho.
Aqui.
Porto. Aqui. Tomar.
Aqui.
Otado. Aqui. We have quorum, and now we have the presentations for communication manager. First is the
Okay. So, I want to bear with to a date with me. So, I want to present myself to you. I'm Diego. For those who don't know, I have a first name. It's not Cantu, it's Diego. Just call me Cantu, it's fine. I'm 22 years old. I'm local representative and communication manager from Minho. And I think I'm also WPA. I'm not sure, but the website is working. Thanks to Bento, but anyway. So, I finished international relations last year, and now I have been approved to study Masters in Communication, Art and Culture in University of Minho. Like 2 days ago they approved me, so amazing. After 1 year of vacation. Anyways, so as most of you asked for me about like my knowledge and some stuff, I just decided to put as my recent photos, some stuff that I did for SMU. As you can see, the pink t-shirts, the sweaters, and also some communication from other events, just to give an example. So, let's talk about my relations or my past relations during this time in ESN. So, first of all, I tried to get a relation with the Erasmus generation, but it didn't went well because of COVID. You know, we couldn't see each other, so I had to come back, and it didn't went well the first time. Then I met ESN Minho, and then it was like, I wouldn't say like love for the first time, but it was the second try as well. So, anyways, but it worked, and we're still together until now. But then we came to a point that now we're just trying to open the relation and try to involve more people. And it started like this year with SN Portugal, and SN Minho accepted so well because they are so open-minded, so they accepted to be like something more open for more people. Started to get a relation also with SN Portugal and SN Minho. We do this triangle, trying to balance everything. Sometimes it's not easy, as you can imagine, but I think it went well. Anyways, let's go. So, about me, as I said, I joined SN Minho in 2020 when I came back with like some trying of Erasmus, but COVID came up, so I had to come back because it was like on March of 2020, so as you can tell. Then, not even 6 months after, I think it was in January or February, I started being communication manager because our communication manager just vanished, so I just decided to and took over. Then, on August of the same year, on 2020 or 2022, I became local representative, and in the same way I became cooperation coordinator, being support position of Ana Sofia, and since then I've been working in both SN Portugal and ESN. So my experience in ESN have been the 4 Portuguese MPs. This one have been also part of the OC, communication OC, of course. I also been to a Spanish one with Rita in Madrid. Been to NM as OC, ENG as OC, to EGM as well, but as participant, 2 local boards meeting, and 1 NSM is like national strategy meeting only for the sport positions. That's what I've done until now for national level. So, why I'm deciding to be candidate and to why I'm here.
I'm here, first of all, because I want to change the way that people look to communication and the way all volunteers look to communication, because we really think that it's like a specific area, and as Darwin said, in IT is also the same. People think they need to be expertise to be on IT, and in communication, normally it's the same, but you don't need to be expertise. As you can see, like it's not my main area, but I also have the enough knowledge, if I can tell, to do all the work for a section and also for the federation. And if we have like a well-developed area with like communication in national level, we have a lot of templates, a lot of stuff that is already pre-prepared, so we don't have to bring stuff from the zero, from the bottom. So, and I also want to renew the working method of the communication manager, because the communication manager in a national board isn't supposed to be managing social media and isn't supposed to be dealing with communication like in Instagram and things like this, but needs to think strategically and work in other areas, like working with the president to go in, like working to write press releases or write speeches for the president, write policy papers and be close to the president to work in advocacy, but I want to talk about this further. And I kind of already talked a little bit of my 3 points, that why I'm here. That's my motivation. Let's go. So, okay. For the volunteers or for the local sections, what I want to do, and I have you here some specific examples, because I know you would ask, because of the question you already sent on the email, so I just came with some examples. You can see that I want to bring the alumni back to our federation, like to make them active and make to be like a source of help, of support that sections need. So if we have the contact of all alumni, maybe like a database or like an agenda with their contacts or whatever it is, so sections can know who they can talk to. Like someone knows some alumni from ESL Porto that works in communication and they can ask help. We just having this bond between alumni and new members or active members. We don't lose this knowledge, so we can keep people having support and everything. So, of course, training, we cannot forget the training. Alongside with the vice president, we need to focus on training, just getting the need assessments. And probably we can also work with ICN Iberia. We have some cooperations. I've already been talking to Angel, the current now communication manager of ESN in Spain, so we can try to figure out if we can bring some trainings for ESN Portugal, for ESN Minho, for each section, whatever it is, just depending on what you need. The new mindset is also for the sections to know that you don't need to know Photoshop Illustrator, you don't need to be like expertise in communication, but you can, if you know how to write, or if you like how to write, you can be like in the social media content, just writing the contents, you can write press releases, you can write your own presence to be in contact with stakeholders or whatever it is, with easier softwares or with easier programs. As I mentioned here, the Photopia and Grammarly. Photopia is like a Photoshop that is free, and you just can go on your Google Chrome, write Photopia, and you have Photoshop on your. You do no credits or buy the program. So for sections that don't have money for buying those products, like the license for the program, you have Photopia. Also, something that I also put in SME is the Grammarly and the Canva Pro. As we are like NGOs, we are allowed to have these programs at their full capacity, but for free. So we're just using these, and these like help a lot. A lot of people that are now in communication, they don't know how to, they're not from communication actually, but they started using this because Canva is like so easy to do, like so, I forgot the word, but anyway, I think you got it. And for Grammarly also help us to write the emails, to write the posts, to write the message for the Erasmus, people that can do some mistakes with English. Grammarly just make things perfectly, and it's all for free as well. Oh shit. Okay. So, just to go now, I want to also to improve the internal communication. As Renata said on the local board meeting, they are having the internal newsletter. They have already the mock-up. I want to bring this as well. I want to improve the Slack, so we have like the center communication for everything. We don't lose no knowledge, no nothing. We have a way to look for everybody, so every section, every volunteer knows where to look for anything or any information that is needed. What else? I put like the Google Workspace, of course. We need to use the Google, the mailing list and everything, and for this I can work with the IT manager to make sure that every section has access to it. Okay. So to wrap up, I'm just gonna jump this Comcom. We cannot forget Comcom. I just want to bring some alumni to Comcom as well to make it sustainable and independent. And of course with the volunteer, he can be helping us with this. The strategic communication I already mentioned on the beginning, to be like more active on policy and advocacy together with the president. Also being active on our social media, I'm going to mention on the end. Okay, so that's it. I just all the time, but if you want to come in this polygamous relationship with me and with yes and me probably, just hit me up, and that's why. Thank you. If I wasn't able to say nothing, just go on the question later. Thank you.
Marta, tudo certo, explica. Hi. Okay, so I'm gonna give this strategy. Okay. So as many of you know, I'm going for the National Communication Manager as well as can do. Who am I? Most of you know me as Marta Sofia. However, actually my name is Marta. Hi. Even though Lydia doesn't know it exists, my hometown does. I'm from college, but I've been living in Avite for the past 4 years. I got my bachelor's in communication technologies. I finished it last year, and then I went to Poland for like improving myself and focusing more on the design aspects of things before starting my master's, which I'm already halfway through. Now, ESN started my life just before I went on Erasmus actually, which is a bit less common. I started like the semester before I came, and it was like my introduction to this world. Basically, I wanted to see what the reality was like, and I was actually recruited by the person that is still 2.5 years later like my mentor, so here I am. Now, what am I doing in ESN? I'm the communication and marketing coordinator for ESN Avite. I'm also the local secretary, and I've been for the past year international. Can you do it? Yeah, thank you very much. So, like I explained, I joined ESN just before COVID hit, so I didn't have a lot of in-person events at the time. However, I was able to basically focus on the communication side, which was the main reason why I joined actually. So a few months later, I started the Survival Guide, which has been my project for the past 3 editions actually. I'm currently working on it as well. Then I went on my Erasmus. I came back with a lot of ambition, and COVID got a lot better, so there was a lot more opportunities for me to join, which meant that I got to go to ComCom International. I got to host my own personal national platform. I got to do the Survival Guide again, and I became coordinator. I became secretary, and then I hosted like 2 more national events as the communication coordinator. Okay, so why am I here? I've always had this really passionate thing for communication, and the person actually that made me want to join ESN has shared this with me, and that person has led me to being here. Basically 2.5 years of someone constantly trying to make you grow is something that I want to be for other people. I want to share what I know, I want to share where I've been, I want to share what I've been doing, and I want people to share everything with me as well. And basically my experience has made me want to accept this challenge basically, and I want to take it further. I want my ambition to take me and make this communication a lot nicer. So, okay, what are my focal points? Very simply, very quickly, I'm going to move slightly over here. Hi. Very simply, I have the development and possible restructuring. I will have the community management, and I have the improvement of the local know-how, aka through trainings. You can go. Okay, very quickly, the community. I really want to see I've talked to the current and the past communication managers, talked to people who have been in company, and I've tried to know just from what I could gather right now, the assessment of the committee's current state and what they wish they had or didn't have. Now, I want to see how the structure can work, how the requests are done. I would like to see if someone could be the manager of competitive, aka the person that goes between the teams that are working on the tasks and the communication manager itself to manage the committee better. And I want to improve the contact with the alumni and the community in general to make people want to join more and see the benefits of being in a committee, because it's a very different experience from just being at a local level. For the community management, once again, let's get alumni, let's get people get excited about communication. Communication can be extremely simple, communication can be very technical. It's about what you like to do and what you get to experience, basically. So communication, we need to break the stigma that it's something that you need to have a degree on, because you really do not. Anybody can do communication, we've all done it here. For example, the international communication manager, she studied literature.
So it's a very different field. The currents, like half of the communication managers, they also have the same experience. So it's possible, it's entirely possible, and it's extremely exciting to break into a new field. So by this, I want to start sharing more tips, sharing more good practices, sharing more materials, sharing everything under the sun basically, and not just being like coming from the national communication manager to the local sections. I want the local sections to communicate amongst themselves and share this. And by that, I want to create like social spaces. Basically, if you have a relationship that is solid enough, you will want to promote it more, you will want to seek other people's help, and you will want to give help when needed as well. And lastly, the local know-how. Basically, communication can seem very frightening, but if we start from the bottom, if we start from the basics, and we level up, and we make these kinds of resources and this kind of training available to everyone at all times, like, we can expand what communication means in the local levels and beyond that. I will work with the vice presidents to make sure that this could be feasible and this could be accessible to everyone. So I want to simplify communication, and I want to bring it to basically everyone that it is in our section. And that is it. Thank you very much for your time.
Now we'll have a question round for both of them, as the same as before. You can ask a question just to one person or a question for both of them, and they will take turns answering. Speakers list is open.
Okay, first of all, I just wanted to congratulate you on both candidacies, and I had a question for both of you, but Martha kind of already answered. And my question is the lack of acknowledgement and human resources and motivation in small sections.
It starts like the fact that with communication people think it's an extremely like niche thing, like IT. We need to break it down. We need to make it sure that it's approachable. Like he was saying, there's a lot of different communication does. It's not just like feeding social media and creating posts for it or anything. It goes a lot beyond that. We can be more strategic. We can have different kind of content. I have a lot of people come to me with ideas, and then I just like, okay, you want us to go with that? Okay, so what do you think we need? I to make people start to think about, okay, I want this project to make this video make better. Okay, how do we do that? How do we get there? Like, if you have the tools, if you have the workshops, or just if you can't have the ability to have a conversation with someone that knows, okay, so if you want to do this kind of video, like you need this, like you will make sure that the people have the tools to do what they need to do and get better. Everything can get better. Like we are the knowledge, there's a gap because of COVID, and there's a gap because of the stigma, and we need to break both of those.
Yeah, okay, as Marta said, I kind of already mentioned in my candidacy as well, but anyways, I think like that process like this. But anyways, as I did in Minho, like people that don't know communication, that don't work with communication, are working with me and doing like most part of what we do, and they are doing everything like in the basic one. So like coming with basic tools, basic programs, like easy softwares to use. Not can only doesn't need to even be to like a software, but anyways. We're building the mindset that we have regarding the communication area and communication manager. You can bring more people to it. So you can bring, as I said, you can bring people that talk about like knows how to write, know public relations, or as we know, communication is like a way vast area. So you can have a lot of people, and when you have a lot of people that can work in different areas inside the same area, which is communication, you can let people that know how to do like the specific stuff focus on that, and they don't need to focus on other areas. So when we start rebuilding the mindset, and if I can bring that it didn't mean into other sections, probably like this will work. We can work like with 3 or 4 people. This is what we do in Minho as well. We have 20 people, but you know how it is. So 3 or 4 people. And if I can do this like properly with Canva, Photopia, for people that already know how to use more the Photoshop or whatever it is, things can be done. So I think it's I don't know if you answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Thank you so much, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Okay, Juliana ESN Porto. So for both of you, do you plan to reach other kind of communication channels, so channels that we don't normally use it, like for events and contents, such as radio, such as journals, such as press release? So television, journal, newspapers, and things like this. If you do plan it, how would you use it?
So I start, right? Okay, so I just mentioned the press release on my presentation, but these are obviously like ideas that we can bring to it. Now there already did some podcasts there in Minho, but it was not for ESN, it was like for the nuclear form that we study. But we can try to open, of course, to other areas or other communication channels, but we also need to have the human resources to do this. So if now we're struggling with human resource, maybe now is not the time to go for this, but of course we can plan, we can start looking for like, how can we start doing something like a podcast on Spotify? Will be like worth it? I don't know. We actually did a podcast with communication. How's the name of the? Anyways, the journal from our university. We already participated in a podcast and talking about the Erasmus and mobility. So these are some stuff that we of course can explore and we should explore. But I don't know if now is the time for doing this. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
I think it's something worth exploring. Basically, we are open to doing initiatives that are very evolving fields, so we can't just stay to the same means and the same methods. We need to explore newsletters, we need to explore all of these social media outlets, and we need to explore the media, because the media will approach us to the communities we are trying to serve. We are at a local level trying to serve the community of our each cities. So we need to approach it. We can use it for national events, for example. We can use it to sponsor bigger activities, bigger things that go according to our values. For example, if you have specific actions that we can take and we can divulge our network through it, we should do it. About the podcast, for example, ESN International has a podcast, ComCom International has a podcast. So what if we took the advances that our federation has done and we brought them to that podcast? We need to use the resources that are available and not necessarily just keep creating new ones and lose the strategic focus of the ones that we already have pre-existing. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Besides Secret, besides Gigi, is anyone going to add a question?
That's a question or comment?
Question.
Question and comment.
Gigi.
So this one goes to Marta because you specifically talked about it, okay? So how do you plan to insert social spaces in the calendar that are already so full and that local sections and volunteers already have a problem with it?
That would be something I need to talk to and get advice from the national board itself, because they are the ones that have the biggest load, I think. So basically, I'm not trying to overload it, I'm trying to do the exact opposite. The way we've had the monthly check-up calls with the community, for example, we can expand that to when the work is finished, we can spend half an hour together, for example, method. Social communication is extremely easy considering the past 2 years we've been doing it digitally. So physical distance isn't a problem. But yeah, I also suggested the getaways because I want there to be a context for us to not just be talking about work. And I want actual relationships to be established between the communities, between the managers, because we need to work together to make sure that Portugal is out there and make sure that our communication is incredibly effective. Did I answer your question?
Question, yes,
Okay, first of all, thank you both for your applications to this position. First, I would like to ask a question just for Marta, in a way more to understand about the ComCom world in a way, but it's sad in your resume that you apply. Sorry. Excuse me. ComCom in international. But what about ComCom national level? I don't think you remember, at least you didn't say on your resume. Do you think it's more unappealing or to be in ComCom, and is there a way that being there, you would do it differently?
I don't think it's particularly appealing. It's a completely different reality. I'm with extremely different people than I would be in ComCom. I might not be an official member, however, whenever there's projects that require even the survival guide, which I've volunteered for the past 3 years, I always make sure I do it. Even for some national events photos this year, I was a part of that, trying to help. And it's not particularly unappealing. I think I'm a lot less sharing, a lot less promotion, and a lot less clear information on how the structure is, for example. And I had examples in Comcom International, and I knew the structure, and I knew like what work specifically I could be doing. So that was one of the things that motivated. Besides the fact that other people, some of which I actually spoke to and asked for advice and to know their reality during my candidacy period while I was ending my candidacy.
Okay, thank you. Now, the question for both is in regards to the way that we communicate among ourselves, namely in the sections. So, as the communication manager, like, what are your plans regarding, for example, Slack implementation? Are there any? Like, what would you do in regards to that? Because at least talking with others, it feels like WhatsApp and Messenger and like things just get lost and not properly organized.
So, okay, yeah. One of my main focus like is bring this Slack, specifically talking, if you said about Slack, and that's because we will have a place that, not we, but like only national and in local level, you have a place to have all this, the information, all the documents and everything there. Never lose it because you can go down into the story for 2 years ago, so new members can come, and for the new members that arrive, this will always be like automatic, so like for 6 months or 1 year, this will be something that will be already like unconscious in our sessions. So you will like have a main communication channel, so you won't lose no information. And I'm also available, and I was also talking to Sarah to give some trainings about like for each sections, and this can also go further because we already talking in local board meeting that Castelo Branco had some problems with and we can show you that it's like we can use it. We also like learned something with Sarah, and Sarah also learned some stuff with us from Slack, like for working for this national platform. And so I think this one specific is like is a tool that we really need to use, and we really need to take advantage because it will like, when I say power up like our work in a good manner. And we also can go to other programs, also Notion or something like this, like to have all information centered. And I think for now it's it, but we are always open like for more options and suggestions. Thank you.
I think once again it depends on the reality of the sections themselves. At a national and an international level, Slack is the standard. You can find all the information there. All of the communication is done through that. My orientation is to efficiently do it. And the difference was we stopped talking about work completely in all other platforms, and we use WhatsApp for social reasons only, and then all the work goes to Slack. However, Slack is not necessarily the best platform, simply because it might not be updated as much. I know that Word, for example, was suggesting something else done by Meta, aka the old Facebook, which was called like I think Workspace, because one of the mainest flaws of Slack is the fact that you lose the notifications occasionally. Not everyone has access to the workspace all the time. Sometimes it doesn't load, for example, and it's a consistent error, and the notifications don't always come when they should. So yes, we should try to do it, and we can talk like especially with a vice president or some training if needed, but it's not necessarily the only choice. But yes, Slack is a really good choice, especially with the history. Like we can always have access to everything. We can bookmark it. We can do a lot of things through Slack. Specifically.
Okay, thank you.
Gigi. Okay, Juliana is important. And my question is, what is the most positive aspect of the other candidate?
The most what? Sorry?
Positive aspect of the other candidate.
To be honestly, he's extremely motivated by what he's doing. He's broken through the stigma that communication is something that you need a diploma for, and he's actually someone who actually has a diploma. He's really been interested in it. He's always shown interest. He's always trying to learn more, even if is not like this or that as opposed to someone else. He always tries to go for it. He always tries to learn from it, and I think that's proactive personality trait that I really like, and I experienced it myself as well. So for me, I've always been a fan of working with him.
Okay, so like I can go on the easy way to say like the technical skill that she had, like we are been working together in both events that we had, like ENM and NG as well. So and we know each other since my first national platform, so we've just been like contacting each other. So okay, so I can go for the technical skills for sure. That she like a proactive woman or girl, would I say? I don't know. And that goes for things as well. Like she always step up, and she can step up in things that I can't. Like the survival guide, like I wasn't able to step up for this because I was doing like a lot of things in the local section, but she just did it, and she just like going for things, working for the international, like going for big challenges, also like and having the braveness to go for this. I think like mainly are these. I'm not gonna like repeating myself like what she said for me, like being proactive and like working on stuff, but I think it is. That's it.
Renato, tens pergunta ou só comentário?
É só comentário.
Então Margarida Sena primeiro, por favor.
Margarida Sena, ESN Lisboa. So I really want to thank both of your candidacies. I think that you're extremely different candidates and you are both capable for this position, but unfortunately we can't have both. Regardless where our vote will lean or the decision of the national platform, I really hope that both of you keep thriving in ESN Portugal. That is it. I always have something prepared, but when I try to say it, nothing comes out right, but that's it. On a personal note, and you have brought a lot of good memories. Keep seeing you in the future. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for both such good applications. Like it's clear, and I think everyone knows that like the communication manager position of ESN Portugal will be surely in good hands for the next mandate. On a personal note, a comment for Marta for working with you for the past 2-3 years. I wanted to see your growth inside the section, inside ESN. Like you joined ESN less than a year after you were joining the international Concom. The way you rebuilt, and we finally have, after years and years struggling issue, now we finally have a full department of communication working, and at March we have like a lot of members motivated to work in this department, and now just to see how much passion, how much effort you put into this application to ESN Portugal, I couldn't be prouder to work with you. Thank you.
So I just want to say I'm really proud of both of you, and I'm really glad that you are here because you helped me a lot during this year, and I want to thank you for that. And I'm sure both of you will do an amazing job, and that's it. I'm really proud.
Any more questions? Qual vocês querem falar? Luís?
Okay, so I use words, mine completely. You are perfect for it in very different ways in a way, but still, I think the network and the federation will be super well served with both of you, or with either one. Obviously, you entered in a kind of tough period, COVID times, and like, well, it has been quite a ride, isn't it? Because like in a time where like the motivation surely wasn't there for many people in our federation to have like a new member, like working so hard, like committing to this cause as well as you did, and like seeing you grow and grow and grow more in your role and your like importance and like participation in our section. It's really something that like makes us all proud. We are so like proud of what you achieved, what you are yet to achieve, and yeah, I mean, from a personal side, like we like are here to support you whatever happens, and lots of love your way.
I propose to close the speakers list. Speakers list is closed. Thank you. And now Baltazar to the stage.
Tá claro, gente, tá claro. Ninguém faz pergunta
Ah, merda.
Ninguém faz pergunta.
Olha, eu tenho aqui. Esse aqui me dá só para eu vou notar só. Basta ser.
Um, dois, três. Boa tarde a todos. A minha apresentação vai ser em português e depois por isso peço desculpa aqui ao meu roomie Darwin por causa disso. Sorry for my presentation to be in Portuguese. Por isso, boa tarde a todos. Para quem não me conhece, sou o João Baltazar. Para quem não me conhece, sou o João Baltazar, sou da secção de Castelo Branco. Vou falar um bocadinho da minha experiência. Eu entrei na secção de Castelo Branco após a minha experiência de Erasmus na Polónia. Fun fact, não sei nada da minha área, fiz mais a parte da gestão das redes sociais, muito por culpa por lacuna de haver poucos recursos humanos, então eu tocava mais na parte da gestão e a minha antiga presidente Bianca que tratava mais da parte do design, para quem a conhece. Entretanto também, em abril, entrei, ou neste caso candidatei na LIR-VP, muito também pela lacuna de problemas internos da secção, e desde aí até o final deste mandato fui LIR-VP da secção de Castelo Branco. Também a nível nacional, sou um dos training officers, uma das support positions daqui do nosso colega Filipe. Até o digo presente porque ainda não sabemos como é que vai ser o resto, por isso vai ficar até o final do ano se tudo correr bem. E alguma informação extra da minha parte. A minha área de formação sou engenheiro civil, tenho 26 anos e, claro, o melhor clube do mundo é o Benfica. Aqui estão vários eventos em que participei em quase 2 anos. Não vou dizer todos, mas vou realçar 2 que foram extremamente importantes para mim. Neste caso, o LBM Castelo Branco, porque, claro, ter sido ao C e ter sido em minha casa. Também o NM, que foi uma experiência incrível por ter feito ser ao C, e claro, a minha primeira PM, ou neste caso, a nossa plataforma nacional não lutar, a minha primeira e nunca ficará esquecida. Agora, o porquê de me candidatar ao Conselho Fiscal? Como vocês sabem, eu venho de uma secção em termos mais ou menos pequena, ou neste caso em escala menor comparado a outras secções, e eu sei bem as dificuldades que secções, vamos dizer, chamar parecidas à minha, enfrentam em termos de cumprir os requisitos mínimos, em termos de conseguir manter-se dentro da rede. E uma das razões de um candidato ao Conselho Fiscal não é ser polícia, mas é a ideia de conseguir passar, ou tentar ajudar essas secções. Claro que as secções, que já vamos chamar de uma escala diferente, é monitorizar e continuar o trabalho que têm feito, mas tentar que a minha experiência é ajudar as secções que estão com mais dificuldades para, como aqui fizemos muito bem já a apresentação do leitão, queremos expandir, mas também temos de cuidar as que já cá estão, e isso é uma das coisas que poderá acontecer dentro do Conselho Fiscal. Uma das coisas que podemos fazer dentro da minha equipa, se for eleita, é conseguir ajudar as secções que estão com dificuldades. Claro que há muitas coisas que nos ultrapassam ao Conselho Fiscal, à própria Direção Nacional, é mais nível local, mas uma das coisas que quero é tentar, com a minha experiência, ajudar essas secções. Como eu falei, um dos meus pontos vai ser a monitorização dos requisitos mínimos. Como eu falei, há secções que têm essas dificuldades. A ideia será sempre ajudar, juntamente com a equipa, esses requisitos mínimos. Sei que há muitas vezes que as pessoas falham ou não entregam certos reportes por esquecimento ou por não tiveram tempo, e normalmente sabemos que os prazos são sempre alargados o suficiente para conseguir não ver esse tipo de avisos. Uma das coisas, não vou dizer uma promessa, mas umas coisas, claro, que eu gostava de acontecer, se for eleito no próximo mandato, é não precisar dar nenhum aviso a nenhuma secção, ou não ter de chegar ao ponto de haver um aviso de expulsão. Quer dizer que estou a fazer um bom trabalho, a própria Direção Nacional está a fazer um bom trabalho, eu estou em trabalho, e o resto todas as support position, e essa é a ideia de tudo que eu quero no mandato. E isso, pronto, na parte dos meus pontos vai ser, juntamente com a equipa, monitorizar e ajudar todo o tipo de ajuda, seja de documentação, seja de ferramentas, seja experiências, dúvidas que eles possam ter, coisas parvas que às vezes têm ou vergonha ou alguma coisa de perguntar à Direção Nacional. E temos dentro da equipa 2 pessoas, até 3, com vasta experiência, seja de nível de cargos de bordo ou também dentro da parte da auditoria, que é o caso da Inês, e uma das coisas será essa. A segunda coisa, o segundo foco, vai ser, claro, ajudar na Guarda Nacional. Neste caso, conseguir que tanto a Guarda Nacional apresente um relatório e um orçamento transparente, claro, para toda a gente consiga entender, neste caso, cumprir tudo o que é apresentado no plano de global, neste caso, com todo o que esteja de conformidade com os estatutos e ordens presentes, e, claro, ajudar qualquer tipo de fiscal ou legal para a elaboração destes próprios documentos. E por fim, como já um pouco vocês perceberam na minha candidatura, ajudar muito a nível local. Acho que o Conselho Fiscal não é só dar pareceres quando é para PNs, dar avisos, acho que pode fazer muito mais do que isso. Como eu falei, pode muito mais ajudar a nível local qualquer tipo de problemas que as secções tenham. Claro que às vezes pode não ser da nossa parte, mas acho que tanto eu como o resto da equipa que se candidata quer ser mais um a ajudar. Como falei, queremos tentar perceber os problemas e tentar ajudar de alguma maneira esses próprios problemas, seja com a nossa experiência, seja, como falei, em documentos ou ferramentas. E claro, uma das coisas que eu aprendi quando entrei para dentro da SN até os dias de hoje foi perceber o que era o Conselho Fiscal, daí também querer poder fazer parte. Foi dentro da SN que eu percebi o que é o Conselho Fiscal, o que é que faz, o que é que significa o nome, e uma das coisas também que eu quero também conseguir passar essa informação e essa experiência é que as pessoas a nível local entendam o que é o Conselho Fiscal, entendam o que é que faz, o significado disso mesmo. E claro, é uma das ideias que, como falei, ajudar muito a nível local, que é, como eu falei, temos secções com dificuldade que não queremos que se saiam da rede, e uma ideia será sempre ajudar a nível local para prosperar e fazer crescer as secções e posteriormente...
Questions? Margarida Sena?
Eu disse não.
Opa, a Margarida Sena é em Lisboa. Opa, eu não tenho perguntas. Eu acho que a tua candidatura está a fechá-las. A Inês vai ser uma ótima... Só tenho um comentário a fazer, que é que ódio, por que raio, calma, com todo o devido respeito a ti, também ao candidato a vice-presidente, eu sei perfeitamente que esse era o cargo que tu querias candidatar, e nós tivemos várias conversas sobre isso e sobre se tu estavas preparado ou não para chegar, para candidatar a esta posição. Eu gostava que tu tivesses fé em ti mesmo e confiança em ti e no teu trabalho. Eu tenho muito orgulho de ter conhecido e daquilo que tu tens feito na secção e na rede, e só quero que, se não estás preparado este ano, e eu admiro muito essa consciência tua, que faças os possíveis para estar preparado no futuro e que consigas alcançar isso, se é que realmente, se é que irás querer no futuro. E é isso, gosto muito de
É verdade que muita gente aqui sabe que uma das ideias deste ano de mandato seria também candidatar no caso de vice-presidente. Por várias razões não me candidatei, muito também a nível de título pessoal e profissional, em que a minha vida vai mudar muito no próximo ano. Eu sei que muitas vezes nós não conseguimos dar os 100% ou damos 80%. Eu, se fosse desse cargo, como tu me dizes, a responsabilidade que é 110% que é o que eu ia dar. Como eu falei, acho que a posição de vice-presidente ficará muito bem entregue ao leitão. Eu falei com ele pessoalmente no MM e falei mais tarde com ele sobre essa possibilidade. E foi o que eu disse a ele, mais um aqui a ajudá-lo caso ele precise, como eu digo, a carga de Sport Position irá se manter tudo correr bem até ao final do ano. Vai haver mais Sport Position que eu poderei, dentro da minha candidatura, como falei com o Conselho Fiscal, ajudar a rede, poderei também ser uma pessoa mais extra caso um candidato e caso a própria DN aceite. E vou ser mais uma pessoa a ajudar a ele, se tudo correr bem, e possivelmente mais tarde, o futuro não sei, é o que eu digo, a nível pessoal e profissional, pode acontecer que nunca consiga esse momento a ajudar. O que eu estou a fazer atualmente, fico muito contente, seja como Presidente do Conselho Fiscal, seja como Sport Position.
Speakers, anyone else for the speakers list? I propose to close the speakers list. Speakers list is closed. Thank you,
A gente vai apresentar. A gente voltou para o site da apresentação. Tem um vídeo. A gente voltou.
Guys, please silence. As B is not here, like Makola said, she cannot present, so I'm just going to read through our application in an impartial way, I hope. Next. So Bia joined, as you can see, so he did Erasmus in Budapest. She's an architect right now. She has a new dog, as you can see, and like the reason she's not ever walking on those I don't know what's the English word for this scooters is also the reason she cannot speak and be here today. So she joined ESN Lisboa in 2017. As you can see, she held as local education officer and head of NEI. I don't know what NEI is. If anyone from Lisboa. She's the education department of ESN Lisboa. Thank you. And then she was president in 2018-19, and then joined ESN Portugal as communication manager for 2 years. She was board with me for the past 2 years. As you know. She also was head of OC of CND Lisboa in 2019, when we thought COVID was just like a myth. And still, during this year, she was the sharing team of ESN International. So, as you can see, she wants to give back to the network and contribute to the growth of ESN Portugal. I believe, and I can say this on her behalf, seeing what happened this year, people like her, like me, and like a lot of the candidates you see today, we are people that seeing what happened this year to the younger generation makes us also want to take part on the growth of ESN Portugal, and I know I can speak for me on this matter. Regarding the focal points, it's regarding the local communities, create a community of local cities starting with a common group and sharing best practices and support to the local sections. Having a knowledgeable, effective, and so leading productive and focused discussions, what we are trying to do here today to our best ability, planning and following also the agenda while being flexible and considering the needs of the GA. Having an efficient teamwork, working with a new team, that she needs to applicants for that, yes, and managing the team effectively for good work and results. Her skills: leadership, planning and organizational skills, time management, teamwork and management. She, especially this year being chair of ESN International, it requires a lot of in-time decision making, and she was put to the test, and I saw that personally. Her vision is creating a space for fruitful discussions, clear communication and support the network, ensuring the correct use of the needed procedures, and also continue the work of the previous cities. Thank you. This is Bia. I hope, as you know, there are no questions because she's not here.
And now, so it's over, finally. Yeah, but maybe DLC needs to say something about